Thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
I see
Hello,
familiar
everybody.
faces already in the chat. That's great. I think everybody's talking about bad weather. It's everywhere now. Morning, Z Wade. Roy Bigsby. Wow. Tim Mackin. Anita Stewart. Good to see you, Anita. Glad to have you in here.
To continue, review the updated items on your screen.
I think we're all going to be taking pictures of our animals in the house because we can't go outside.
Yeah. And Ray Powell, I love it, man. I love seeing you come into the chat. Bitterly cold Berwick upon Tweed. I love that. Jeff and I were just talking about that.
Yeah, we don't have any great names in the U.S. You know, we can't counter you, man. You got us beat.
Yeah. James, J-Rod Photo Art. How you doing, buddy? And Mr. Roy Bigsby, of course. Alan Barnes from Kent. ATR Bear. Mr. Ted. How you doing, Ted? Nancy Jane, hello. Good to see all of you in here. It's great. Yeah, you noticed the thumbnail. There are rumors upon rumors, and it's not just Nikon, it's everybody. And I think there's another expected announcement today by Panasonic. Simon over at Ordinary Filmmakers just posted a video, and I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I mean, that's good news for everybody. So I hope everybody understands why we get so animated and passionate about anything coming from the Nikon world. Although it may be rumors, I mean, come on. Let's face it. Nikon put out one camera last year, a Z30. Why wouldn't we be enthusiastic about what may come? So I think it's been a lot of fun, but today is your day, you guys in the chat. And let me throw the invitation out there. If you would like to be in here live on the panel, all you have to do is let me know. Send me an email to apstudios001@yahoo.com, and I will get you the link, and you can join us live. Just let me know in the chat. Long Rider, how are you doing, buddy? Why am I not seeing Long Rider?
Yeah, I see Ray saying hi, but I don't see him.
Okay. What's happened here?
Long Rider, are you going under a different name? Are you sneaking in here as somebody else?
I don't get it. I'll have to figure that out, Long Rider. I don't know why I'm not seeing you. All right. So again, back to Jeffrey and I were just talking about, of course, the names in UK. We love that. I always love seeing those names. I love watching Grays of Westminster because you never know who's going to chime in with something like Berwick upon Tweed. I'm sorry. I'm just fascinated with that. John Hughes from North Yorkshire. Man. All right.
Well, hey, I'll have to just go by Sand in Myrtle Beach. I'll have to use that. Sand in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah. My wife said you should tell everybody you're from Brookfield Manor in Connecticut. Nancy's watching from her office. Jose Mello. Hello from Taunton, Mass. Okay, you're up in our neck of the woods. You guys got a little bit of this nasty winter weather. I don't know if it's still hanging around down here in Connecticut, southern, what are we? Southwest Connecticut. Most of the snow is gone. It snowed all night the night before, literally, and all day yesterday, and almost none of it remains. It's just way too warm here. And I'm happy. I don't have to shovel the drive. So, all right.
Yeah, Chuck, let's hope on today's show that we can hit that 1,000 mark for you. That would be great. Yeah,
and once I get there, that's as I'm not going to say that's as far as I want to go, but I'm not bent on becoming a 100,000 subscriber channel or anything like that. It just gets the word out so that others that might want to get into a chat like this find us and can join us as well. So, but thank you. Thanks to Simon over at Ordinary Filmmaker and Vahagan for the shout outs and the community post that Simon did. It's really picked up the subscribers, and I appreciate everybody subscribing. And as always, and I'll say it right up front today, I hope everybody will drop a like. The likes are really what keep me motivated. So you guys are fantastic. I love it. Thank you very much.
I'm like, Roy, what is this? What is this snow stuff? Just head our way, Roy. We'll teach you.
Yeah.
or Chuck will. I mean, I'm out of the snow belt now, but
Yeah, I'm tired of the snow. I'm trying to get out of the snow belt myself. Yeah, Roy, we were up to 969 as I got everything ready to go this morning. And I guess a couple of people already decided, this isn't for me. And I guess that's okay because it had dropped to 967. But again, I check the numbers every now and then. You guys do a better job at letting me know than I do for myself, but really enjoy doing this. And I hope you folks do. And I hope we can find others that are, as passionate about just being in a chat about what we love, cameras, photography, and everything else. I just did a video, dropped it. I hope everybody had a chance to see it on the upcoming photo review that we have on April 1st. This ought to be fun, being April Fool's Day. And I don't know if that's celebrated anywhere else but in the U.S. I don't even know why it's in the U.S. So if you guys know, or if you practice it as well. I don't know if practice is the right word. I don't know what you would say about April Fool's Day. How did it come about, Jeffrey?
I have no idea. I have no idea. But I did my share of April Fool's jokes on people when I was younger. Not so much anymore, but
here you go. Here's another. California's being inundated this year with rain, or at least over the last few months, and it looks like it's going to continue for the short term. But as tragic as it may be with some of the flash flooding and things that are going on out there, I think they've completely wiped out the drought. I don't know how many years now they've been fighting the drought, but it's been overcome with all this moisture in the last few months. And it looks like, again, it's going to continue. So I don't know how you guys out there in California feel about it, but I hope you're surviving it.
Yeah, and then once it warms up and the snow melts that they do have in the mountains, then that should fill. If things aren't already filled with their reservoirs and stuff, they'll be pretty darn close.
Yeah. Yep. Jeff and Leslie. Yeah, I used to say that all the time, Jeff. I need to go back to it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you may be in the world. That's so true because we have such an international audience. And I think that's great too. Soon to crack the 1,000 subs. Yeah, Roy, we'll get there. We'll get there. And again, I appreciate you all, everybody that subbed. And for those that jumped over based on Ordinary Filmmaker, Simon's invitation, and Vahagan, I appreciate it. And I hope you'll join us. Just hang around. I think you'll find it interesting. There's a lot of misinformation going on out there in the YouTube world about what we do over here. So I'll just say, come see for yourself. If you enjoy it, by all means, become part of the community. So the chat's open today, or the topic's open today for what you guys would like to talk about. I don't care. Again, I just want to host this and let everybody come in and be able to talk with each other. And we do that very civilly over here, and I appreciate that as well. So again, you guys decide what we'll talk about, and we will talk. There are plenty of people in the chat that can answer questions that I can't necessarily answer. And we got Jeffrey, who is the guru when it comes to manuals on any camera he owns. So if you happen to own a camera he owns, you can get immediate responses to your questions. Again, I'm just the janitor. I open the door, let everybody in. We all have a good time. When we all leave, I sweep up, lock the door, and get ready for the next show.
Hey, it's important that you keep the place clean, Chuck, and that's the most important thing.
Exactly. And that's a tough job at times because YouTube can be a pretty rough place. So, but we'll do our best.
Before I logged on and got on your stream, a few minutes early, I was looking at the speed lights available from Nikon, and I went on Canon site and I went on Sony site, and I'll tell you, it's really sad now in terms of the major brands. I mean, Canon has a pretty good amount of flashes, but most of their flashes are out of stock. Sony only has a handful. They don't have very many high-end ones, and theirs are out of stock. And of course, Nikon really only has like 3 flashes, and only one you can get is the SB700. The SB5000 is out of stock. So it's kind of getting to the point where I think a lot of these camera manufacturers are kind of abandoning, or not worrying about offering flashes anymore. I think they're kind of all giving up on it, and it's going to be all these, it's going to be Godox or Profoto or whoever you want to go with, but it won't be a name. It won't be the brand of the camera anymore, and that's kind of sad. I think it really is.
Well, I think that they've fallen out of favor with photographers for whatever reason. Even Joe McNally has gone to Profoto. That's pretty much all he's using as well. So. Yeah, it's interesting. And there are a lot of people that have gone to Profoto, even at the expense of Profoto. So I don't know what's going on. It's interesting to say the least. Welcome, everyone, from Kevin Nordstrom. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you being in here as well. J-Rod, photo art. Mr. James over there said it started with Constantine, the Roman emperor in the 4th century. The rulers of that period entertained themselves and their guests with fools, court jesters, and is it proficient? Oh, court jesters proficient in music. All right. Well, we can all expect something here on April 1st. Who knows? Maybe the Z1 will arrive or the R1 will be shipping. I expect things like that, and that's the fun of it, I guess. And making it as believable as possible. So get ready. The R1's coming on April 1st. Somebody's going to do a video or something like that. And Sony will have
I'm your court jester, Chuck, on your show.
No, I don't see you that way at all. So Jose asks, anybody have any idea about the Z800 6.3 when Nikon coming out with these lenses? They're actually trickling out right now, Jose. I don't know if you've ordered one. I don't know where you are in the queue or where you ordered it from, but the 800s have been trickling out. You're looking at somebody that owns one there, Mr. Jeff. He just got his recently. Mozman got one recently, and although he's not keeping it, he got it for someone else. And Grays, wasn't Becky just talking about that? They had fulfilled all their pre-orders, and they expected another 1 or 2 or something like that, 800s soon, and nobody had claimed them yet. So they're beginning to trickle out.
I'd like to think the NPS orders are starting to get nearly filled by some places, and then they can start shipping them out to everybody else, which is long overdue.
Yeah. QSR from Romania. What's the subject of today's stream? What would you like it to be? And I'm not being snippy here. I mean, again, that's what this channel was supposed to be, and I'm trying to get it to that point. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, you guys in the chat, because this is an opportunity to get together. If you don't have people that you can sit around and talk photography, talk your passion or whatever, that is the reason I started it, because my wife can stand me talking about photography for 2 minutes, and then it's like, okay, I'm done, go away. So I really
mine's the same way. She either falls asleep or pretends to, one or the other.
Yep, absolutely. So QSR, whatever you want to talk about, drop it in the chat and we'll sure talk about it. Again, if anybody would like to be on the panel in here with us live, you're welcome to do that as well. All you have to do is drop an email for apstudios001@yahoo.com and just say, send me the link in the subject, and I will surely do that. But make sure you let me know in the chat so I can go check email if you do that. It's really simple too. It's just a click of a button. Make sure you're using the Chrome browser because it works best in Chrome. We encounter a lot of problems with audio with people that like to use Safari or other browsers. So there you have it.
QSR's got a good question for you, Chuck. It kind of fits up your bailiwick.
Okay.
Potential topic of discussion. If he was to start a YouTube channel today and he wants to use a camera for recording himself and also live stream, for example, a gaming channel, how should he proceed?
Man, that's a lot to unpack, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not a, I mean, I'm being on Chuck's channel. I mean, I could have a separate camera feed, but I'm just using my Mac Studio camera. It works fine for this, but you're getting into the big stuff now what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I had promised I'm doing a video on that, and I am. I've been a little bit slower in putting it together than I guess I should be. Talking about what I use, and that isn't necessarily what anybody needs to use, but also talking about some of the products that you could use on the lower end. I mean, on the more economical end, maybe a less expensive end, to do what we're doing here. And to be honest, I mean, the one thing that you can always do is just use your laptop with mic and camera. It's not the most pleasant, of course, although laptop cameras are getting a little bit better. But yeah, we'll go into that. Let me put some more information together, and I'll let you know, QSR. No doubt about that. Send me an email with your question, and let me see if I can answer it there based on the information that I've already gathered for this. Oh, here we go. Hang on a second. We got another that would like to come in and talk. All right. Let me get back to the stream. All right. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious how many people, if they want to respond or not, how many people in the chat own more than one flash? How many people just have a single flash, and how many people have, typically do a setup where they're using, 2 or 3 flashes? Just curious.
And to answer your question, James, yes, it is. Everybody said if there's no photos or anything, then it doesn't exist. When I mentioned the other day that I have a 70 Challenger RTSE. So, yeah, that's the back end. It's actually a video. And I did it about 7 years ago when I had first got the car out of paint and body. I restored it. And, man, that's a money pit you don't ever want to get in. I'll tell you that right now. Buy a car that's been already restored. Yeah. All right. Mr. Simon, how you doing, buddy? Again, thank you for the community posts and everything else. It's been fantastic.
Well, I'm glad to help. I just thought I had an opportunity to impose myself on you and thought hopefully you wouldn't be too upset with me.
No, it's never an imposition. I always tell people, again, that's what I want this channel to be, is people coming and going and having a panel for the discussion and everything else. 104 live streams a year. It's tough to come up with a topic, for twice a week, because I don't follow the news like you. I rely on you.
See, that's why I do news and rumors, because you don't have to come up with the topics yourself.
There you go. I just enjoy not having to scour the web for all this information like you do. I don't know how you do it.
It is a little bit crazy. Like right now, I know a lot's happening, so I'll be checking during work, no. So at work, I'll do it break and lunchtime because I don't want anything else on my mind. But outside of work, like every hour, every half hour, now certain times of the day. So for example, when we start to enter Asia, 7 o'clock in the morning to about 10 o'clock. I'm paying attention every 15 minutes. Europe is different. So it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's just, you kind of know when to pay attention. You know that in summer you can kind of sleep.
Yeah.
But right now, March is busy.
Yep. It is. It's very busy. And, one of the things, and there's been a lot of controversy over talking about gear and everything else. And I don't know why they would ever say anything to you, because that's what your channel is. And it seems pretty clear. Everybody should expect this is what we're talking about, the latest news on what we know and what's coming or whatever. And again, I appreciate that you are the one-stop fix for all this news, because you keep me informed. I don't have to, again, go scour the web looking for the stuff.
I try to.
And again, I think most people don't understand my channel either. And I don't want to get into plugging myself here, but they don't understand it. It's just a collage of topics or whatever. And again, what everybody in the chat wants to talk about, just like QSR. I'm not prepared to answer his question specifically. And I'm trying to put a video together, which I will, to answer that. But I appreciate when people do that, bring something up in the chat. But anyway, for those of you that don't know, and I don't know how you wouldn't know, this is Simon over at Ordinary Filmmaker, and you need to go check out his channel. If you want the easiest way to keep on top of what's going on in the camera world, just subscribe to him and get the notifications, and he's going to keep you abreast of. And it's not just Canon, it's not just Sony, it's not just Panasonic or Nikon or OM. It's all the camera news. And I don't know why everybody isn't subscribed to you, Simon, because I appreciate it.
Well, I just had a stupid idea one day, and I was watching Casey at Camera Conspiracies, and I thought, how hard would it be to do something like this? Just cover news and rumors, because I have a day job. I don't have 30 hours to devote to any one video like Tony Northrup does, or my friends over at DP Review or Gordon Lang. So I thought news and rumors is perfect. Something comes out. Okay, I don't have to research for an hour. These are the rumored specifications from Nikon Rumors, such as camera dimensions. I just go right downstairs, light things up, and boom, I go right into it. I mean, how hard is that, right? So, but the one thing you say is trying to nail down everything. Like today we talked about a few sources have come and said, look, the Panasonic S1 Mark II is coming out. Like, okay, well, we're in that time frame. Now, will it actually happen? Well, we'll know by the end of next week, because if it doesn't happen by the end of the next week, well, then those rumors are incorrect, right? So there's a lot of excitement with rumors, because you don't know if it's coming, it's coming by when, or what it's going to be like. Like the Z8, we have an idea.
Yeah.
But the excitement is talking about it. Once it's out there, it's, oh, okay. Because, as they say on in the stock market, the excitement is you buy on rumor, sell on fact, leading up to the earnings calls. And I think it's the same thing here. Even if it's a really great camera, it's not going to be as exciting as the lead up to, unless, of course, you end up owning it. And then, of course, the excitement is getting out there and running with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And again, why do people get upset when you want to talk about these things? I mean,
who cares?
It just it blows me away. And I've got thank you for the idea of Andy Rooney.
Well, why don't you? That was my dumb idea. Why don't you ask your audience what they think of you doing a?
Well, you know what? I think I'll just spring it on everybody, because I have an idea coming up to do that, and I don't know how many people. Most people might not even know who Andy Rooney is, but I'm gonna do a short video in the likeness of Andy Rooney, and I've got an idea for that too. And it's all about the complaining and everything that goes on, and how everybody's actually happy, but they don't know it. So anyway, that's a little.
I think it's great. I'm sorry, one more last thing. I want to, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and do so. If you'll notice, take a look at the subscriber count. He's a handful. Well, couple of handfuls, 5 handfuls away from being
mine up too. So
so about 5, 6, 7 handfuls. He's less than around 40 subscribers away, or 32 subscribers away, guys. So please, it really, he's a very modest man, but it's a big achievement. He's been doing this for 2 years. And Chuck, I can only say a little bit because I'm on my lunch break, so I can go about another 10 or 15 minutes. But
Okay.
I struggle because I thought you used the same link every time, because I use Ecamm and it's the same link all the time. So I'm going like, link's not working.
Yeah, it generates a new link for each episode.
Well, that's good to know for now. Oh, my wife just texted me, please turn off the coffee maker. It's late for that now.
And that's what
the coffee is burning. I could smell the burnt coffee smell.
That's what live streaming is about right there. That's what makes it, fun, is it's life as it happens. It's not rehearsed. It's not planned. It's just fun. And that's the way that any conversation should be.
Yeah, and it's J-Rod, it's Cal Jackson, it's Greg, it's Ray, and I see a lot of these names, QSR, on my channel as well. These are people who love cameras. It's a hobby, and when I was younger, I had picked up a Corvette. I was single, late into my 30s, so I thought, why not get a Corvette? And you know what? The thing that got me out there was the camera. Because I thought, hey, I want to take pictures of this mountain, or I want to take pictures of this lake, or I want to go to Lake Placid or Mount Washington. And I want to take pictures. It wasn't to drive the car, although that was the fun part. It was actually to get to the destination and capture images, capture moments and memories. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little bit different. I was reliving my teenage years, and when I bought my Challenger, and then went through the it's almost complete restoration process. And it's fun. Every time I got in it, I felt like I was 16 again. My wife said I was going to wind up with a glove box full of tickets or kill myself in it. But anyway, yeah.
I hear that.
Our folks on the chat, who are all great photo lovers and photographers, obviously all own a lot of flash units, because there's a lot of comments on people having 6 flashes, 20 flashes. So we obviously have a lot of people that either do studio work or a lot of portrait shooting or what have you. I think that's great. I mean, and then when I see Roy talking about the Mets, old Mets flash units, I smile, because I grew up with those flash units, and it's kind of neat. A lot of people have a lot of flashes. I mean, I'm down I'll say I'm down. Well, I have 2. I mean, I've got that old style Godox that I bought, retro flash, for my old cameras, and I have an SD 700. But at some point, I'll probably have to, start getting the more modern stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the numbers here in the chat. Everybody's talking about how many they have and what type and whatever. But I just want to hang on to Simon for a minute. He's got to go here in just a minute. So we'll get to all the comments as usual, and I'll get backlogged, of course, trying to go through them all, because I want everybody to have their moment, with their comment or question. But Simon, so Panasonic today or tomorrow, possibly?
Yeah. So, I wasn't going to do anything on Panasonic, because a lot of what I was getting through was, now these were people I know, but I thought I need something a bit more validated. And then I got another one this morning, and I thought, and this was early in the morning. I was up at, I think, 2 this morning. And I thought, well, okay, let's put something out there, because if I get enough of these things coming in and I don't do something about it, then, I'm missing an opportunity. But then one of them this morning clawed things back a little bit. You never really know what's going to happen with this stuff, but I certainly think it's well within the time frame. We're just over 4 years past the S1 announcement, and I was kind of expecting something around February. I know something's going to be happening this year. My only wonder is, are we going to get 3, the S1, the S1R, and the S1H?
Yeah.
Or are they just going to say, okay, we're just going to do 2. We're going to do a photocentric and a videocentric, and we'll wait and see. I mean, we got a lot like the Z8. We just found out it's more like a D850, right, guys?
Yep. Yeah, and everybody will say, "Well, it's just a rumor," and it is. But I mean, come on, enjoy it with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for rumors, I'd have very little to put out. Because you see, here's the thing: what I cover rumors, I can put about 10 videos or 12 or 15 videos. Like, thank you, Canon, for leaking the daylights out of the R5 for 6 months. I was able to buy the camera just from those videos. But if I didn't have that, well, because what happens as soon as that becomes real, and Gordon Lang, DP Review, Fronos, Tony Northrup, none of them can report on it because guess what? They've got the camera.
Exactly.
But as soon as they announce it, it'll be like a massive wave hitting me, burying me in the water. These guys take front and center.
Yeah.
So I have come up with a trick, and this is where you come in, guys, Val, or Vahography and AP Studios. I've come up with a new scenario. So once I know the date and time, and sometimes I get it leaked and sometimes they announce it, an hour before the announcement, we talk rumors. How close are we? What do you think? We cover the announcement. And then I try to bring somebody like Jordan Drake on, who covered the R6 Mark II with me. And he talks about what it's like in his hand and goes behind the scenes with stuff.
Yeah,
that's fun.
That's a lot of fun. That answers a lot of questions that people have. When you can get the person into your stream where they can actually talk and ask questions and get answers, especially somebody that had it in their hand pre-production, playing with it. So you're absolutely right. And as soon as anything's announced, then we get this a plethora of folks that the embargo's lifted, and we're going to get 250 videos on a particular lens or body or something like that. But that's great to have somebody that actually had it in their hand to come on live. Again, I would love to do that too, but that's not my forte here. Again, it's just running the photo bar. That's what we're calling it, the photography bar, where everybody knows your name. Cheers.
But you don't serve drinks, Chuck. It doesn't count, man. I gotta bring my own, man.
It's BYOB, no doubt about it. But yeah, the comment here, Jay Kimmer talking about ordinary filmmaker extraordinary to get all the current updates. It's awesome. Yeah, it is again. And but I'm a person that likes to dream. I'm a person that likes to sit down and put a puzzle together. And when you talk about these rumors, a lot of people won't do that. Look at, apply some common sense when you're looking at a rumor. And, you might be able to put some pieces together just to satisfy yourself, and to get more more passionate about the rumors and things like that. But again, I go back to, Panasonic's done well. Sony's done well. Canon's done well. I talked about this at the end of the year last year. How did all the camera makers do, in everybody's opinion? I think it was a boom for everybody but Nikon. And I say that, and I'm a Nikon shooter because Nikon produced one camera. The Z30, it's a great camera for those that want it. And I know some pros that actually have bought it. What did they buy it for? Streaming or video or whatever. And I think it's a great camera for something like that. So, but that's all we got. So you have to understand how impatient we have become in the Nikon camp.
No, I get it, because I'm not kidding when I see Nikon and Canon customers is very similar, and they also have that history and heritage. When you're frustrated waiting for the Z8. Well, that was me in 2019 waiting. I looked at the 5D Mark IV, so expensive for what it could do. I looked at the EOS R when it was announced in October going, oh God, are you kidding me? The Sony beats that. That's been out for a year or two.
Yeah.
And so I was very frustrated, ready to leave Canon and it's funny, I started doing a channel, and then all of a sudden these rumors for this RS was coming in. It turned out to be the R5. And I thought, okay, this is too good to be true. Like, I put out some rumors every now and then that just seemed like this can't be.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I don't know. But I want to address one thing too. People don't realize this. So I'm on here, and you've got Vahography, you've got Chuck Talks, or not Chuck Talks, AP Studios, because I'm reading the names instead of actually your channels. And some of the other regulars that come on, people don't realize that we develop friendships behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And even Canon rumors, when I first started, there were a few people accusing me of just ripping off Canon rumors. And what people don't realize is, I've become friends with Craig behind the scenes, but I even reached out to him because I said, look, I'm not trying to rip you off and copy you. I wanted to talk to him ahead of time, make sure there was no misinterpretation. He says, look, I have no problem with what you do. I don't do video, and I see you do things different. You're not just copying what I do, because I hate it when people just copy what I do. He said, you provide analysis and opinion, and not too many do that. And I said, yeah, because when I was looking for stuff on the 90D, the A7S III, back in 2019, I was not looking, when I came to YouTube, I didn't want somebody to just give me what was already on the web.
Yeah.
I wanted somebody to talk from their experience based on previous cameras, the A7S II or the 80D or the 5D Mark IV, what they were expecting and what's realistic about this. I wanted more.
Yeah.
So when I started to do the channel, I did the same thing. But even today, me and Craig will chat with each other every now and then. We send tweets back and forth, or he'll publish something and I'll say, what about this? Are you sure about this? Or do you have anything else? So sometimes stuff comes up later and, and I'll say, hey, do you mind if I throw that and cover that too? And he says, yeah, no problem. So I'll put out a different video, or I'll add stuff and tweet it. But there's this respect amongst each other. And, that's why whenever I cite 4/3 rumors, Canon rumors, or whoever it is, I will always have the screenshot so people can see it. Oh, I'm not aware of, we'll go to Canon rumors. You're not aware of Nikon, we'll go to Nikon rumors. I want people to be aware of who broke this story.
Yeah.
Not who's paraphrasing it. So if Nikon rumors talked about something, but it came from Digicami, well, I'll quote Digicami on it because they were the ones who broke it.
Well, I'm always going to cite anything if I'm quoting them, no doubt about that. But just like you, I'll add my 10 cents worth in. And I've been talking about, the other thing is I've been talking about some of this stuff since, well, Simon, we talked about it last year. And you had said, once we get closer, maybe we can do a collaboration on a stream or something like that. But yeah, I just pieced all that together. And, again, you get I shouldn't say attacked, but you get beat up a little bit for, why are we talking about this now? Well,
well, it's good though,
Yeah.
because people are listening.
Yeah.
And when you first start your channel, you don't get any comments and you just hope to get more than a couple. So when they do start coming in, it's par for the course. Not everyone's going to be happy. I even had one guy who said, well, why are you covering all this video stuff? I don't get, and I said, well, did you really check the name of my channel? Because it's kind of my wheelhouse. He responds back and says, oh yeah, sorry. The video just started playing automatically. I didn't realize that was your thing.
Yeah.
And, you go with it, because if they're criticizing you, first of all, that's good because it's free consultation, free feedback.
Yeah.
It's driving engagement. And even people who are trolling me, I'll still respond because it's still feeding that engagement, that YouTube formula.
Right.
This is good. I only kick people. I only delete posts if people are absolutely rude. They're being rude to me. They're being rude to others. And sometimes you get these comments that are trying to sound like advice or criticism, but they're really just a passive aggressive insult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't tolerate that because, like you, Chuck, I want to build a positive community where people can come in, and if they ask a quote stupid question, people aren't going to jump on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that aggravates me too, in forums and everything else.
There are
Where somebody
some
can ask
forums.
yeah,
you don't want to be a new photographer because they'll beat.
You're absolutely
what's out of you all the time.
You're absolutely right.
I know that. Boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah, I'm going to come back tomorrow and ask another question.
Yeah, it aggravates me when that happens, especially how do we get more people in the photography community if we're going to beat them up every time they ask a question? If you don't have an answer or you think it's a stupid question, then just don't say anything. How about that? That would work real well.
I love doing stupid questions and stuff. Like I will say something on air saying, I don't use ND filters, and way to set a video person off sometimes.
Oh,
like what? How could you not use ND filters? How else do you get a shallow depth of field when you're shooting outside in bright sunlight? I said, now you're thinking. Good question. So why would I not want to use ND filters? Think creatively.
Yeah.
And you start to, and I like to shoot as what's the phrase I'm looking for? With as little gear as possible. Take the camera, take the lens, a battery, and lens hood.
Yep.
Everything else, like even a gimbal, unless I absolutely have to use a gimbal, I try not to use a gimbal because I want to travel light, and it doesn't matter whether I'm in France or my backyard, I want to be able to shoot with the same gear. and I have ND filters. I love them, but I won't get into it. There are reasons why I don't like using them. There's reasons why I want to be in my personal space. I want to be as natural as I can.
Imagine telling people you primarily shoot JPEG.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? If you're doing social media, you know,
there is nothing wrong with it. It's just the fact that, you know, immediately, well, you're not a pro, you're not a whatever. Why should I listen to you? And blah, 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 blah. But I mean, that's the community that we have in the photography world.
Yeah.
And that's my job. I'm taking that on as my job to change the perception of, you know, photography. When I've said it many times, there are more hobbyists by far than there are professional photographers.
I got to stop you there because there's no such thing as a pro.
Well,
it's like the word official.
Well,
these are made up marketing words.
Well, I use the definition that if it is your profession, you are earning a living with it, you're a professional. That's fine. I can live with that. Whether your results are fantastic or terrible, it doesn't matter. That's your profession, and I'll go along with that. But most of us are hobbyist photographers, amateurs, and you know, we just enjoy photography. Although it's hard to when we have so many people telling us, well, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. You got to do this, you got to do that. Again, that's back to, that's what I want this channel to be about, that we can talk about stuff and have a good time. I don't care if you're a pro or you're an amateur, you're a hobbyist, whatever you consider yourself, you have a voice, man, and you get a chance to talk just like everybody else. So anyway.
Just one last thing that I got a buzz because people keep trying to message me. I don't know if something's up, but I'll say it this way, because to me, professional means you're part of a profession. And what do you know what a profession is? Well, it's well defined. So for example, if you're in human resources, that is a profession. If you're an accountant and you're certified under whatever the terms are, you are a profession.
Yes.
But professional has been watered down to where it doesn't mean anything. And I kind of think like you, that if you derive a lot of income from it, you're a professional. But well, what if you're retired? Are you still a professional? I try not to use the labels, and I say, well, what do you do? Well, I start with I am this, I shoot this, I do this. The word, whenever I see people starting to use the word professional, I'm already triggered to think that, well, maybe they're not, and they're just trying to now classify me out of it. It's you'll see that whenever people do the word professional, generally they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree. And I know some professionals that are, well, they are professionals because they're all over YouTube and they're actually, you know, well-established photographers that to me, their photography is good, but you know, it's not anything that bowls me over. And I know I have found some amateurs or hobbyists that have extraordinary photography skills. So yeah, I think that's where we get mixed up when we start labeling somebody a professional.
Yeah, don't label.
Yeah.
Don't label.
No.
Well, my friend, look, thank you so much for having me on here. This was a great way to spend my lunch. Better than eating food. This is, I can survive on the energy.
Well, I appreciate you coming by, Simon. You always add something to the conversation, obviously. And yeah, man. And I keep checking out your channel. I'm looking to see what you find out. And again, it's just a one-stop shop to go see what's going on in the camera world, not just in any one brand. A lot of people might not like that either, but
I've been told to just focus on Canon because it will feed the YouTube formula. And I say, no, because I like camera technology. So that's why I cover it all.
And you're good at it.
I like it. That's why, right? It's you know, 37,000 subscribers. It's not a lot. It's not like even Casey, who's got 130, but I'm not doing it for that. I would like to get to 100, but you know, this is fun. Like I'm waiting for the next thing. As soon as something comes through my inbox, it's like, yes, okay, how am I going to do this, right? And then I get out there and create it. Like I have 60 to 90 minutes for each video max.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, gentlemen.
We look forward to what you're coming out with next.
So am I. I'm waiting patiently on the Z8. I keep refreshing that page because I know something we're going to start to get some information soon.
Yeah, I suspect
like you said, all the people who have had to sign in ink with blood that they're not going to disclose anything, having tried out these cameras, that they're building their video up the whole time that they have it. And that's why when it comes out, you're going to have like 50 of them out on YouTube at the same time.
Yeah, no,
It's
I know. And
crazy.
I know some of them too. And I don't even ask them for stuff because I don't want to put anybody I know in a situation where they risk their career, because if you expose stuff, you can get yourself in trouble.
Yep.
So, I respect that, but still it's like, and that's why I love having somebody like Jordan on. As soon as the embargo's lifted, he has no problem coming on the channel.
That's great.
And I will never ask him a single thing until, the embargo's lifted.
Yeah. And that's just out of courtesy.
Oh God. Yeah. Don't risk anyone.
Yep.
It's like
but I gotta go.
You're waiting for that the guy to yell, "Release the Kraken," and they all come out.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
being here, Simon. Appreciate you coming on. You're welcome anytime, brother.
Thanks, brother. Cheers.
All right.
Have a good
Bye-bye. All right. So, well, I didn't expect that. I appreciate Simon coming over here and talking for a few minutes. And again, you may like or not like his channel, but I love it. And I would expect everybody should love it because he's not pushing any brand or anything. He's just scouring the internet to come up with the news that's going on in the camera world. There's nothing wrong with that. I like it. And all of it isn't rumor. I mean, he also covers all the firmware updates for every brand and everything going on. So anyway, I'd invite anybody that hasn't subscribed to him or checked him out to go over there and do that. I can't imagine anybody in my group here doesn't know who he is, though. All right, man, we got a lot of comments. I'm so sorry, guys. We got to get back in here and definitely catch up with the comments. A lot going on with your initial comment about flashes, Jeffrey. A lot of talk about speed lights, and of course, a lot of good chatter about it. But let's see. Let me go down. I don't know where I'm at now. Let's see. I'll start right here. Rot Von Rat in here. Let's see. I've subscribed to, let's see. I have subscribed to all recommended, but I have to say that some of them are like viruses. Why not think a bit before or about what is published? Yeah, no doubt about that. Everybody should do that. But I don't know what you're applying that to. But I agree with the concept of everybody should look at what they're publishing and how it's going to affect the photography community. No doubt about that. I agree 100%. Albert showed up.
Yeah. I like Mega Briarpatch's comment. He's a full-time photographer, and he says many of his jobs, they require him to shoot the smallest basic JPEG. And all depends on the job. Yeah, I don't have issues with JPEG. I was going to make, me, I'm kind of a wise blankety blank sometimes, like I said, I'm the court jester on Chuck's channel. I was going to say, Chuck is the anti-Fro because he's the I shoot JPEG guy and Fro's the I shoot raw guy.
Yeah, that's a whole conversation right there. Am I not going to shoot raw? No, that's not the case. But anyway, Kevin Nordstrom says, I don't agree with everything Chuck says, nor should you. You shouldn't agree with everything I say. So you're on the right track there, Kevin, no doubt about it. But he's good people. Thank you very much. And so are most, let's see, it goes on his channel. Thank you very much. In the chat, yeah, I agree. I have nothing to do with that, though, Kevin. That's just folks being good folks that just come in and chat. Mudslinging of other creators I see as a cancer and needs to stop. Haters gonna hate. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Kevin. And when it's brand specific or it gets personal and stuff like that, sometimes I think it's out of jealousy. Other people just want to rule the world. So yeah, I don't want to do that, obviously, but when we're talking about Nikon, let us have some fun, guys. We've been in a dry spell for a while. We want to talk about everything, and you guys bring up other brands in the chat, and you're welcome to do that. And again, if you're shooting another brand, I welcome you to come on the panel as well and speak fondly of your brand. That's what it's all about. That's what we need to be doing, is just enjoying the community of photographers and everybody happy with what they're shooting. So agree 100%, Kevin. Appreciate the comment. Go
After
ahead,
after Jeff and Leslie have had their used their new gear for a while, it'd be nice for them to come on and talk about you know, how it felt, or what their experience has been transitioning, you know, from one, you know, learned one brand and switching to another. You know, what have they learned from that experience, and how they like their new gear they're using, you know, once they've used it for a while. I know they're still learning a lot. So
I agree with that 100%. I'd love to have Jeff come on the show. I don't know if he can or not, or would like to, but I'd love to have him on the show. Ray Powell says, I'm getting to the age where every photo is Sasquatch quality. Yeah. A lot of people may not understand that. That's an inside joke that came up in one of the live streams. Most people don't realize that Sasquatch is a blurry creature. It's not that the photographers or people that have taken photos of them did a bad job. He is a blurry creature. Therefore, all the photos of Sasquatch are good photos, actually. I know it's hard to follow that. You had to be here. But thanks, Ray. And I'm with you.
They're a lot faster than we think they are. They're a lot faster than we think they are, Chuck.
Yep. I'm talking about professional photographers. The guy that takes photos at the mall is also a professional photographer too, unfortunately. No, you're right. By the definition of profession or professional, he is, because he's making a living doing that. Oh, man. Trying to get down here, and you were talking about Briar. Here's Briar's comment. Great discussion, guys. I'm a full-time photographer, and for many of my jobs, my clients require that I shoot the smallest basic JPEG my cam can generate. It always depends on the job. Absolutely, Ted. And when I say that I shoot JPEG, when I made that comment a while back, you know, I got a little blowback on it. I'm not saying everybody should shoot JPEG. That's the wonderful thing about photography. Do what you want. Don't worry about what everybody else does. So I'm a believer in that. But I shoot JPEG quite often because of what I do. You know, I'm shooting pro bono car events and things like that. And I'm just handing the photos over to the promoter, and JPEGs are fine. So, yeah, that's just me, though. You shoot what you want to shoot.
Yeah. There's no, you know, unlike what some people would say, there's no wrong way. There's just your way. It's not wrong, just your way. But people like to try to make it where there's a right way and a wrong way, and there really isn't. It's just whatever fits your need and what you like.
Absolutely. And that goes with gear and everything else. So on that front, you know, everybody wants people to stick to one thought process or one idea or whatever. Only love what you have. Don't worry about what's coming. And I don't think that's fair to, you know, try to convince people that they shouldn't be passionate about, you know, what might come or, you know, what's coming next or whatever. Nor is it right for the people that are looking for the next camera body or whatever to pick on those that don't care if another camera body comes out. That, you know, the community needs to accept everybody where they're at, what they want, and everything else. And, you know, I'm not going to change that. I know in the greater YouTube community, but I can keep preaching it. And I hope people don't get mad at me because I preach that, but I just want to have a good time. That's it. Just want to have a good time, folks. And I will pontificate from time to time on what I think based on, you know, my looking at the pattern, looking at bits and pieces of the puzzle. I know that, but you're welcome to do the same. As long as we're not attacking each other or anybody else, that's okay. That's okay. And I am Hassan. Lumix is love. Lumix is life. So are grits, morning, afternoon, all. Absolutely, Hassan. And we never really talk about Lumix. So Hassan, you got to come on the show, man, and get us up to speed on Lumix. So, I mean, that's again what it's all about, is everybody having a moment in the sun in a community like this or in a chat around the table to talk about what's important to them or what their passion is.
Well, it's important to talk about it too, because there were a small percentage, and I'm going to say relatively small percentage, this is just my opinion, of D850 users who wanted to go mirrorless. And they really, because I was one of them, so I can kind of speak for myself anyway, really had a hard time with, what was out there in the mirrorless world at the time. And I wanted to stick with Nikon. And I said, well, I really don't want to spend that much for a camera body. But, I was kind of tired of waiting, and I stretched the budget and I got the Z9. But there's a lot of D850 owners that did not stretch the budget to buy a Z9, that have been sitting there waiting for something else to come out. And I think it's important to talk about, that whether it's the next generation of the Z6 or the Z7 or the upcoming, what we assume to be the Z8, it's important to talk about it, because there's still a lot, like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Nikon users out there that haven't even switched to mirrorless yet.
Hey, let me make this comment real quick. Joey, I know you said send the link, and I did. I don't know, maybe you got preoccupied with something else. Just want to let you know that the link is sent, buddy. So I haven't seen you come into the show yet. Jason Michaels Photography says, so when you hit 1,000 plus subscribers, we can start sending in some tip money for more M&Ms. I appreciate that. But that again, I want to make this clear. Let me make this the official statement. I never did this for the money. I'm taken care of. I'm not saying I'm rich. I'm not, but I'm taken care of. And you can look at my hair and understand why I'm not building a retirement. I'm far past building. I'm into receiving in retirement. So I did this for the fun of it. I didn't do it with the intent to be a influencer, and I'm sure I'm not. If anything, the only thing I would expect to be an influencer of is, again, trying to build a better community in the photography world and, let everybody have some fun. I don't have to do this. I do it for the fun of it. And the other thing is, I have strived to get to 1,000 subscribers. It's not for the monetization, because if there is any money made on this channel, it's going right back into the channel, because I have an outlay that I put out just to run the channel, and it will just maybe help pay for that. But that's not the intent. I get to 1,000 subscribers and get monetized. The one thing that it does do is it opens up the algorithm more for this community. And that means more, all of you guys that are plank holders that have been in here a long time, all those that have joined recently, we can build the community and maybe spread a little more fun amongst so many other photographers out there that have never heard of the channel. So, guys, I'm not doing it to be famous. I'm not doing it to make a fortune. I don't think that's even possible for somebody at my age to think about with YouTube. But again, it's just to continue to have fun. So got that out of the way. Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate that, though. All right. Let me see what else we've got here. Still, guys, I am so far behind. And Mark Weston says, no, Jeffrey, it's not release the Kraken. It's now release the crackpots. And yeah, there's a lot of those out there. A lot of people out there that are, just fighting over nothing. You understand, folks, if the Z8, and I believe it is real, I believe it is coming real soon. Anything you say about it right now, what you hope for, that's fine to hope for it, but it's done. It's baked. It's ready to go. I mean, at the most, there may be some tweaks in firmware or, in the software, but whatever it is, it's coming, and there's nothing we can ask for now and expect to get.
John, have a good one. Mr. Hughes is leaving us.
John, I'm sorry, man. We got so far behind there, buddy. I appreciate you being in here, though. And here's QRS. He's asked or QSR. I'm sorry, QRS is a ham radio term. I was searching on YouTube info about the Z30 uses a streaming camera, and I found it has some problems. If a Type-C cable is used, it's choppy, and you have to buy, I guess, a micro HDMI to HDMI. I don't know. If David Moots was in here, he's on the stream quite often on his Z30. He might be able to add something to that. I didn't know that anybody was having any trouble streaming with the Z30. So maybe somebody else in here has already answered because I'm so far behind QSR. If not, we'll see if we can't find somebody that can answer it. And again, that's the great thing about this chat room is there's so much experience in here to answer questions. There's often sidebars going on over here. And that's exactly what I hope to see is photographers chatting with photographers. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't like those micro HDMI connectors, but you'll find them even on high-end camera bodies. I mean, they have not all switched to the full size yet. So I wouldn't let that, sway you not to do it. I mean, you just have to, what we used to call it work with cabling. You have a strain relief, make sure there's not too much pressure on the cable. Use a zip tie or whatever to tie the cable to something else so there's no weight on it. And I don't think you're going to have any issues at all. But I haven't really heard of any main issues with the Z30. I mean, with any camera, there's going to be a person that has had a problem with any brand camera and any model camera out there. So,
and here you go.
Here's a little more hunting because I think most people are very happy with it.
Here's an unbiased suggestion too. If you're definitely in the Nikon camp and you want to stay in the Nikon camp, then yes, I think the Z30 you'll find that it will work extremely well for what you want to do. But there are other cameras. I mean, Sony has vlogging cameras and Canon has vlogging cameras. So again, I just want to be as unbiased as I can here. And there's nothing wrong with their cameras. Okay. No. If you'd like to shoot, if you'd like to look at Canon and Sony and who have I left out? Of course, I've left out OM, Lumix and everybody else. And there are plenty of people in the chat that can answer your questions about the other brands. I can't because I don't shoot the other brands, but I want you to know that I'm not going to shove the Z30 down your throat just because it's Nikon. That's part of this community that we're building here is to be able to help each other out without getting in fights over whose dog jumps the highest.
No, I mean, I thought about getting one for B-roll, or for, having one on a lightweight tripod, in my, well, I guess I'll call it a studio. I don't have a fancy thing like Chuck, but if I was doing something where I wanted to film myself demonstrating something, it would be fine for that. But I also, part of me, I'm a big stills photographer. So part of me says, well, gee, I wouldn't mind something that was like that had an EVF, because I still like to look through a viewfinder to take my photos rather than the back of a camera. So it depends on what, is it strictly just going to be you're filming, your screen, that you're doing video game stuff or whatever, or do you want to take still photos as well? So you got to look at the whole picture, how you're going to use it.
I'm looking at the comments still over here. I'm so sorry I got so far behind, man. It's so difficult to keep up with everything everybody's saying. And I am really, again, happy that in the chat over here, so many people are answering questions and comments and things like that. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, M&Ms, absolutely, Simon. My weapon of choice when I'm on the live stream, M&Ms. Let's see.
Well, if you don't have the coffee, Chuck, you need to have the sugar from the M&Ms to keep you going.
I don't know which term was that, James. I don't know what term I used that may have been a Navy term, but my brother was in the Navy. So, a little that rubbed off on me. There was a little rivalry between us, me Army, him Navy. So there still is today. Let's see. And yeah, I wish I'd have caught this earlier. John having to take off. I love John being in here. Caesar says, my uncle always says, you're so far behind, you think you're ahead. Yep. Or another one is, you're so far, you're going so slow, you're going backwards. And that would be me. Man, a lot of comments in here. Again, Joey, if you're out there and you want to come in, man, by all means, jump in here. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to jump to the bottom. Oh, plank owner. Yeah, that is a Navy term, no doubt about it, but still used today in many clubs and professions, plank owner. And by the way, James, you are one of the plank owners. So is Jeffrey. And so many of you that are in here right now. All right. So let's get with it. Let's get down to business and start talking about everything going on over here in the chat. Hurry up and wait. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That's an Army term. That's hurry up and wait. You got to, if the platoon has a formation at 12, then the each squad has a formation at 11:50, and then each fire team has a formation at 11:45 to make sure everybody's in place at the right time. Mr. Wolf, I am using Restream.io, and I'm actually considering checking out StreamYard. Because a lot of people are using StreamYard, and not that I have any major problems with Restream, but I think StreamYard might offer a couple of things that Restream doesn't. But yeah, it's very, you have to buy the plan to get 1080p out. And so the camera is shooting at 4K, and then it's, of course, the shoot. Restream only goes to 1080p. Yeah. But thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a good platform for me. It's at a cost, but that's okay. Peter Mazuik, KT4JZ, man. KT4JZ, Kilowatt Tango 4, Japan, Zanzibar. CQ. Yes, I am. All right. So what questions did I miss? What have we not answered now that we're set? And I know I've passed over some of your questions. First come, first serve, and we'll turn it loose here and in the chat. I know
I'm curious.
QSR was asking a lot about streaming, but go ahead, Jeffrey.
I'm curious how many people are happy or unhappy by the rumor that the Z8 is going to be basically a similar body size to the D850. Do you like that, or do you not like that? I personally I'm happy about
it. I do too, but there are some definite battles going on over in Nikon Rumors in the forum over that one piece of information. It's really strange. Hey, before I run to the little boys' room, everybody asked the other day about my Challenger, so I'm going to take this moment here. This is a warm-up video, just warming it up and circulating the oil during a long winter sleep. This was about 7 years ago. The car hasn't changed. It's been garaged and covered since then. But let me pull it up here real quick and let everybody see. For those that didn't believe.
It does exist, just like the M&Ms. It does exist. It's like the M&M guys.
Yeah, I spent a fortune on this thing. That's great camera work, isn't it, for a photographer? Not. Yes, it is a pistol grip shifter. I have the original transmission, 4-speed. It has a Tremec 5-speed in it right now. Just thought it might be fun. I found this old video on when I was moving all the photos off the old Mac upstairs. Thought maybe some of the hot rod lovers would enjoy a moment. Roy says the steering wheel's on the wrong side. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Terrible video, but anyway, I thought it'd be fun.
You just didn't want to bring all your strobes down from upstairs, all your lighting.
Yeah. Actually, 7 years ago, I had quite a bit less equipment than I have today. But yeah, it was just fun. My brother was here, and I had to get it out and warm it up. Again, winter, it was a decent day. So I thought, let me take this camera out and just video some of it real quick.
Well, if you do sell it, you'll have plenty of camera funds for whatever comes out, Chuck. Plus
Yep.
the Z mount lenses, so you'll be covered.
Yep. Put it back in the garage for another 3 months.
See, and there's proof that it actually works because you're not pushing it in the garage.
Exactly. All right. There it is. James caught it right off. Challenger in the garage. All right, folks. I appreciate everybody bearing with me there, but there it is. It's real. I've got to get rid of it, though. I think it's just time to do that. Z Wade says, nice Toyota Camry there, Chuck. Goes along with the pigeons. Yeah.
That was the super size version of the Camry.
Yeah. Yep, the 70 Chevelle convertible, man. If it was an SS, and that's the problem with GM or especially Chevrolet. Well, all GM, you just can't. It's so hard to verify what they actually were. There are more SS Chevelles out there now than were ever produced because it's so easy to fake it. But so if anybody's going to buy wants to go back and buy a nostalgic car, especially a 70s muscle car, or 60s and 70s muscle cars, be careful. It's easy to get taken. It really is. All right. Oh, okay. So J-Rod, he says a friend of his is a Mopar gearhead. Yep. And Mopar people recognize Mopars quick. All right. Aside from the great video work there, that really had nothing to do with the photography, did it? Tongue-in-cheek, great video work.
Yeah, you're trying to hit the bee's nest, Chuck.
Yeah. Yeah, still nothing wrong with that. And those have gone up in price now too, because these are getting harder and harder to find. You know, old 60s and 70s cars. Actually, it's changed a bit too. There are a lot of, because some of the more popular cars are so hard to find or so expensive. A lot of people have started transitioning to, let's just get, you know, old station wagons and old trucks. Trucks have become very popular to restore. So, yep, it won't be long. I won't be able to drive it anyway. It'll be illegal. So, or there'll be no gas for it. So there you go. Yeah, it was the Z8 I used to take that video 7 years ago. That's how long that camera's been in development. You know it's going to be a great camera. It's been in development for all that time. Todd's got to go. Hey, thanks for being here, Todd. I know it was a lackluster show today. We're just having fun. It was great to have Peter in here, but I'm glad you stopped by. And again, you're always welcome. Yeah, it's not a Kia Soul with hamsters. All right. It's time for me to run to the little boy's room. That's becoming common for everybody that frequents the channel here. You know that I'm down to the run to the little boy's room, Mark. I'm going to hand it off to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I don't know if Joe Man's Land, Joey's going to get in here or not, but anybody again that would like to join, by all means, just let me know and we will put you on the panel. For now, I'm going to turn it over to the trusty hands of Mr. Jeffrey Neville at Selective Imagery. Go check out his channel, folks. Go over there and subscribe. Let's help the little channels, man. The big channels are doing okay. It's time the little channels got some help. All right, Jeffrey, I will be right back, buddy.
Yeah, there's a lot of us little channels on here. Myself, obviously, is one, and not to degrade anybody else, but you know, Jeff and Leslie we can always use some more people visiting our channels, and Greg, and you know, I do appreciate everybody that does come from this channel to you know, to check out my work. I appreciate it very much. Are wood frogs in my area? I'm going to be stupid and say I really don't know. I'll tell you, I can't even find. I can hear them, but I can't even get pictures of bullfrogs. You know, it's crazy. It's just, you know, bigger things, yes, but the frogs, I don't know. I just can't seem to. Turtles, I can find plenty of turtles in different spots, but frogs, for whatever reason, you hear them, but you don't see them. They're just sneaky down here, I guess. And let's see what other comments we have. Like I said, I was amazed by how many people have multiple flash units. I think that's great. I mean, I was never. The only time I really even used the flash a fair amount was when I knew I was going to end up doing a handful of weddings over a certain period of time for, you know, close friends or their daughters or that type of thing. And I got asked to do weddings. But if I was never asked to do a wedding, I probably would just have a very basic flash, nothing more than that. And I'm, like I said, I'm kind of happy that the Z8 might be a D850 size but thinner, only because that may give us the opportunity to have, for those of us that have a Z9, it may allow us to have a similar button layout and not lose any buttons. That would be very, very nice because no matter what comes out, I won't be in the market to get one this year. I kind of blew my photo budget this year with the 800, obviously. So I'm going to have to wait till next year to buy anything else of any significant cost. But next year, you know, if I like what the specs are on the Z8 and I want to definitely have 2 Z bodies, I may. And by then, the Z7 III and the Z6 III will probably be out. So I'll probably have 2 or 3 choices when it comes to next year when I'm in the market for buying another body. Curious for those of you that use strobes. I mean, I know, Roy, you use a lot of strobes, or was it the AD200 or whatever. my question is on these strobe units. Do you have to have flash stands for them, or can you fit them on flash brackets attached to your camera, or are they just a little bit too big for that? I know some strobes definitely are. You have to, but I'm just curious. What is a good size strobe if you want to have it, attached to your camera with a bracket or what have you? Because I've always just used speed lights, because I'm an old guy. I'm from that era, and I have an SB 700, which for how often I use it works fine. AD 200 Godox. Okay. And let's see, what else do we got? I'm looking, guys. I'm just trying to see if we missed anything, because I will comment that, like, I'll go on KEH once in a while, and I do like my SB 600 or 700, excuse me, and I did have an SB 800 at one time. But you could get some pretty good values on some used flashes. So Roy, you got the R1C1. So you're using that's like commonly used for macro shooting, if I remember correctly. So you were probably using it for very, very small items. For your commercial jobs. I mean, I've always liked the quality of the Nikon flashes. I mean, I know, speed lights are, I guess, passe now, but I always liked the quality of them. I mean, I think the only one that really had some issues when it came out was the SB 900. But other than that, I know, like, the SB 5000, which is their high-end one now, has cooling in it, a cooling feature in it, so you can shoot over 100 flash shots in a row at full power without any overheating issues, which is a real cool thing. But they don't have any in stock. So, like I said, it seems like most of the camera manufacturers, I went on all their home pages this morning, and a good portion of their flash units are out of stock. So I don't know if it's, 1 minute it says out of stock, and the next minute you'll turn around and it'll just say no longer available.
Hey, let me inject a question here real quick on this subject. Why do you all feel that speed lights have dropped out of favor, it seems like, in the last few years? You have any thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, I mean, the SB 5000, I would think, would still do good, because that uses the radio frequency feature for syncing with other flash units. Now, the older units didn't use that, so I could see some of the older units not being of interest, but I would think the SB 5000 would still be a practical flash to use with multiple flash setups. But I really don't know how, what the sales are of that, how well it's really done. But I mean, for like a wedding photographer, if you had, I mean, I hate to use the term back in the day, because it makes it sound like I'm 90 years old, but I feel like 90 sometimes. So I'll say back in the day.
We are, Jeffrey,
So back in the day, I mean, there were a majority of wedding photographers were using, multiple speed lights. I mean, and they got great results. I mean, and look at the results that someone like Joe McNally got for so many years using speed lights. So you can't say they still can't do the job. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know whether it's availability, lack of availability, or the higher end ones were very expensive by the camera brands. Very expensive.
Jeff and Leslie, Jeff says, I think the dynamic range and low light performance capabilities of today's cameras have limited the broad appeal of flash, at least with those who are not using it for fill or macro work. Yeah, I go along with that. I don't think there's any one answer, and that's why I bring it up. But speed lights aren't discussed anymore. Very seldom are speed lights discussed. Let's see. Yeah, and a speed light makes terrible on the camera, makes terrible flat light. Yep. No doubt about that. Here's another from Fell. Fell says, because strobes are being able to have more eye-pleasing lights using modifiers. I agree with that 100%. I think this is one of the key reasons. I think that YouTube is full of everybody shooting with, Godox and flashpoint strobes that are very reasonably priced, considering where they were years ago, and still considering, Westcott and Profoto and things like that. I think that has a lot to do with it, because everybody's, searching YouTube looking for how to light with 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, or whatever. And here you go, Ray Powell. Another good point. It's a belief that everything can be done in Photoshop. True enough. And Photoshop will allow you to do quite a bit, but it doesn't match using light for so many photos. Chris says, I still keep my old SB 800s, definitely a workhorse. Yeah, but now here's the thing. Those of us that grew up with speed lights are still definitely a fan of speed lights. But the newer generation coming up, especially with all these other products that are out there, maybe they're just not as familiar with it. And, what you said earlier there, let's see, was it you, Hero? Yeah. A Hero just ordered a Canon EL5. Is that the new speed light that will actually bounce light automatically? I can't remember how it works, but it looked pretty cool to me that it automatically will turn away and bounce light for you.
Yeah, it is one of the ones I looked at this morning that, like he says, is back ordered. So it's like, you're going to get driven to the Godoxes, and if you can afford it, the higher the pro photo stuff, because you just can't get the stuff from the camera manufacturers anymore.
Jeff and Leslie, nostalgia like kids thinking the 1970s were so great. Those of us who lived it can educate them that it wasn't all flowers, disco, and free love.
Nothing in life is free, and there's a cost for everything.
Yep. And I agree with you, Phil. Speed lights are better for events because they're so portable and easy to, carry around, and you can carry a bag full of them if you really want to. But then you've got to have some sort of a commander to command it all. Roy brought up the CLS for Nikon, and that was a great trick for using multiple speed lights. But yeah, I think that cheaper lights and, the Chinese market flooding us with all these things has really hurt speed lights, because now everybody wants strobes. I shouldn't say everybody. When I say that, folks, understand, I don't literally mean everybody, but a majority of folks.
Well, I think people that are setting up studios are not going to set up studios with speed lights. They're going to set them up with strobes. I think that's safe to say.
Nice. It has an interface for R7, R8. And Hero Shot said, I'll still be buying Gary Fong Bounce Globe. And yeah.
I still have that myself, but it's a little yellow looking now. It's not clear. It's not clear anymore. It's too old. It's like, it has a yellow tinge to it.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to mention a minute ago. Cal Jackson brings up another factor that affected my concerns with speed lights was the change in Nikon lighting system that required the expensive Nikon trigger that was always out of stock. Yeah, the little dongle that you had, and you had to have a camera that would accept it too. I think that's something everybody looks at as being professional with Nikon cameras. Is does it have the, what is it, 9-pin connector or 10-pin connector? If it doesn't, then it's, it can't be professional or whatever. And Ray says, this is funny. Ray says, if you think the 70s were bad, try the 60s. And that's one of the things about watching Gray's of Westminster when Gray is on there. I love listening to him talk about how he got started in photography and everything he was doing with the rock and roll scene, bands and everything else. And to hear him talk about flash as well, I think it's interesting. And you have a pseudo old flash that you just purchased last year, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I bought the Godox, the retro flash unit that they sold that fans out like an old style flash from the 50s.
Nero says, mine is yellow now too, but I still love it. Yeah. How many people bought into the MagMod system? I'm curious to know, because that was that could be used across the brands with all the brand speed lights. I'll admit, and somebody had asked earlier about things that are stuck in a drawer that you never use anymore. Yeah, I got plenty of that. And matter of fact, MagMod is part of that. It's in a drawer now because rarely am I shooting with speed lights.
Oh, I know. I have I have Velcro on my SB 700, and I've got all those, bounce attachments to stick on the Velcro, that you could bounce the light off and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how many of those I have folded up and put away. A lot of that stuff you get for free when you buy flashes sometimes. So,
yeah. Yeah, Hero says MagMod's too expensive even when it's on sale. I'll agree with that, but I fell victim to trying it. And while it does work, it is expensive. And I don't know. I shot a lot of events with speed lights and the MagMod Mag Boob that's so ridiculous looking on the speed light, but it actually works real well. But yeah, most people grew up bouncing speed lights off walls or whatever. I heard a story about a wedding photographer that bounced it off one of the best man or somebody's shirt, white shirt, to take a portrait. Z Wade. Oh, Z Wade. Wouldn't it be great to go back to your age, man? I would love it.
See what happens when you did that? You get these black rings permanently under your eyes from using that. That's what happens.
Can you imagine those days? Well, I mean, I lived through the bulb flash, of course, and having to carry a pocket full of bulbs around. I didn't, but I remember those days of photographers carrying all the flash bulbs around. And then the advent of the Kodak 4-sided, the cube flash that would rotate. You get 4 flashes with each cube. Man, we talk about expensive now, but think about it. The cost of living in those days and the, pay and everything else, and having to buy all those flash cubes and flash bulbs and things like that. And of course, get film developed and everything else. It wasn't cheap then either, was it?
I go to buy a bulb for the flash that I have with my Raleigh, the original flash that you could get with a Raleigh Flex, and you buy them on eBay, and the bulbs on average are going to cost you more than $1 a bulb. And I remember shooting those bulbs when I was a really young kid, or my mom taking pictures of me with those bulbs, and that was always a great thing because, oh, Okay, everybody say cheese. Poof, the thing goes off, and all you see is blue dots in front of your eyes for the next 10 minutes.
Yep. And you know what? We're kind of going back to that because that's exactly what happened. Everybody you were taking a photo of was blind for the next minute or two. You know, all they could see was the flash in their eye. But now with trying to use LED lights, chip on board lights to do portraits and things like that. I noticed somebody was shooting. I saw just recently saw a video where somebody was shooting. I think it might have been Ryan Troy, and he was using we called it hot lights, but nowadays they're not hot, but they're LED, the chip on board light. And he had it going across her eyes, and she said, "Oh, I can't see," and how miserable it was. I thought that was kind of funny. So we're trying to do it again with hot lights or chip on board lights, these new LED lights. There was another comment here that was
those bulbs put out a lot more power than any speed light ever would.
Yeah.
Those flash bulbs, much more powerful.
Ray asked the question, Chuck, what is a must-have accessory that you had to have that's now gathering dust in a drawer? Man, I don't know. There's so many, Ray, and I can't think of all of them right offhand because they got stuffed in a drawer and I haven't looked at them forever. So, but yeah, Magmod is kind of that way because, I bought into the whole idea of Magmod before really spending any money on strobes, and they worked, but anyway, they're great for events, but maybe just a bounce card with a rubber band, on the flash works just as well, I think, most of the time. Yep, this is true too. Another development that has lessened the need for speed lights, 5-stop image stabilization. I agree with that, Cal. And better post-processing software. Yeah, and we kind of mentioned that with being done in Photoshop, but other post-processing software that's out there now too. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So is all this heading, the demise of speed lights? And I know that a lot of the folks in here still use speed lights, but it doesn't get much attention on YouTube anymore.
No, it's dying off. I think other than those that have working ones, that there's no reason to throw them out. If you have them and they work, you're not, and you only use a flash once in a while, you're probably saying, fine, I'm okay with it. I don't need to change. But I mean, if I was going to do like what you do, Chuck, if I was going to set up a studio and I was going to take pictures of people, I mean, I wouldn't be using it. I'd be getting a strobe, a set of strobes as well.
That's a good point because I have used speed lights in the studio only because, I don't have 15 strobes to use, but used speed lights just for a splash of light on a background before too. But you need to have a speed light that fits into your triggering system. And now we're back to third-party speed lights like Godox or whatever. It makes it so much more convenient. You remember the cubes you could buy and attach to your flash or speed light or strobe light or whatever, the optical triggers? Remember those? I haven't seen those. I haven't seen those for a while. And there was also one that you could plug into the wall. And as long as there was enough flash going off, it would trigger all other flashes through the optical slave. And most of these strobes still have an optical slave mode. I bet most people have never used it.
Yep.
It's funny, the things that we've gone through. And again, I am not one of those nostalgic people. I've got to do it just because I did it. And I don't think it's, it's showing I'm a better photographer because I use some old technology or whatever. I like new technology. I like things that make it easier. I'm sorry, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I myself, I mean, I'll keep what I have because it works, and I don't do it that much. But I'm not someone that's in the portrait that's not my genre that I do portraits and people shots. So, but if I did, I know, I'm sure Chuck, all the stuff you had to buy added up quite fast between all the stands and everything else you got to buy, and the baffles and the soft boxes and everything else.
So this is one of the things that, I've talked about, and others talk about it too, but it's difficult. If you're younger and you're not at a point in life where kids are gone, you're not raising a family and all these other things, you can buy some of the things you want. I never could do that. I had to raise a family and go through that whole process. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'm happy, but I couldn't afford to buy the things I wanted. So then when I was turned loose, and this is about 10 or 15 years ago, and realized, hey, I've got income now that I did never have before. So I got caught up in all these videos on YouTube, got to buy this softbox, you got to buy this, light modifier or whatever. But I guess where I'm going with this is, I've told people don't skimp. And just one example is light stands. If you're going to invest in light stands, buy C stands, because they'll last you a lifetime. You can pass them down to your great grandkids. That's just how robust they are. Not to mention it's so much easier to work with. But I understand people may not be able to afford that, and they go out and buy the most economical thing at the time, which I did. And I've got, downstairs, I've got a stack of old light stands that, you put a light on top and it just slowly creeps to the bottom again. It won't hold the light anymore. But that's what I got for, $30 versus $125 for a C stand. And in the end, you will have paid for a C stand in all the, trashy little cheap light stands you get. Not that there aren't some good aluminum light stands, and especially when it comes to travel, I understand why people would prefer that over a C stand. But the point is that you just got to think about those things. And that's some of those items that just sit in the corner and gather dust now, Ray. Andrew brings up a good point too. Godox AD200, which most people are a fan of because it's so versatile. So many things you can do with it. I know Roy is. I think that thing it started a revolution in lighting, actually, when Godox came out with the AD200. So yeah, man, coupled with his beat up D810 50 millimeter, it's a joy and simple cost effective lighting system. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that AD200. I have one. Of course I do, right? Oh man.
You have one of the ones in the first batch, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Here's Roy talking about it. The Godox AD200 is his go-to is in his go-to flashes. Unless outdoors, I use the 8600 strobes. Yeah, for a little more power, I get it. But yeah, man, Hero Shots talking about us talking about the wall cube. My uncle told me about the wall cube lights that he'd use at weddings. Yeah. You know what? It still works. I mean, obviously you have to manually go set everything that's going to be triggered, optically triggered. It's not like today where you can just do it on the little controller right on top of the camera, but they worked. Yes, and I had one of those as well.
I like Z-Way's comment, Chuck. You got to throw that up about you selling the photos once a month, making the money to buy your stuff.
I'll get to it here in a second. Z-Wade says, I think using strobes with high-speed sync is more versatile, albeit bigger and more pleasing. They're becoming pretty darn reasonable. I think flash will become retro soon. Yeah, I agree. And they are becoming more reasonable. And, that again goes back to Godox. They made a strobe and a speed light. And of course, the combination or the hybrid of that, the 200, AD200, and they made them at a reasonable price, and they are decent quality. And as I've heard Roy say many times, he would rather a light stand fall over with a Godox light on it because he can go buy another one rather than it be a Pro Photo or something expensive. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, and I haven't figured out all the high-speed sync, do's and don'ts and everything. But I think that's why everybody keeps talking about global shutters too. There you go. Hero says his $17 Amazon light stands have lasted longer than they should have. There you go. Going on 60. You're fortunate, man. That's great. Maybe they were pretty quality too, because there's so many people out there that make those. So many Chinese knockoff light stands. Some good, some not so good. There you go. Manila Martin talking about one of my friends had one small strip box for his 30-year career at Playboy. He couldn't understand why people had so many soft boxes. Yeah. You know what? And that's the other thing, getting more proficient with what you have. Obviously, you can make it do more. No doubt about that. But look, where would YouTube be without all these videos convincing me I had to go buy this latest and greatest, lighting modifier? There you go. Z Wade's comment. Once Chuck started selling photos once a month, you could afford all the lighting you wanted. Yeah. You folks that send into the photo reviews, I appreciate it, because, you guys are extraordinary photographers. They're fantastic. And I've had a lot of commercial entities reach out to me for hotel photos, for some of the things you've done. It's really helping me out. I appreciate it. Oh, man. Yeah. And then
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this morning I watched a Joe McNally B&H had a video, I guess, at some event they had going on, and I watched Joe McNally talk about his lighting techniques, and he used the strip lighting for very muscular, like boxers and stuff, and it just lit up a section of the muscle on the athlete. And it was really, really cool. So, if you want to check it out, guys, it's the B&H has a good video with Joe McNally talking about lighting. The only bad thing is sometimes he didn't have a microphone in his hand and he's talking and it's hard to hear him. But they should have just put a clip mic on him that was wireless. And I don't know why they didn't do that. But
yeah, Joe McNally, he's known as the lighting master. I mean, and a lot of it with nothing but speed lights as well. A lot of it, not everything he does, but yeah.
Yeah, he's still the best. To me, he's still the best of the best. I mean, he pushes it. He pushes the limits and takes scenes where he has, well, he did a thing for Godox, I think, where he had 70 flash units set up or something for one shot. So he's a mastermind when it comes to flash photography. That's for sure.
And Roy says, battery powered strobes is the future. I agree 100%, man. Getting rid of all the cables and cords and extension cords and everything else running all over the floor, all over your studio or wherever you're shooting. I agree 100%. I mean, that's what drove me to Godox. Actually, I buy from Adorama, so it's rebranded Flashpoint, but you get a little bit of a warranty with Adorama too. So, yeah, man, battery power is the way to go. And I was extremely surprised at how long the batteries last in a studio shooting all day long. Just don't run the, what is it? The little lamps in them. I already did that. I guess he makes a lot selling all the pigeon shots you submitted. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jeff and Leslie's comments funny. I hope, Jeff, that your head has healed from your wife whacking you with your tripod.
Well, that's another purchase that people make, and there are a lot of good cheaper tripods out there. Probably a whole lot more than there were when I was trying to buy tripods. I think it's come a long way. But that's one of the things you want to invest in. If you invest in a good tripod, and it really hurts sometimes the cost, but invest in a good one, you'll have it for life.
Hello, Joe Stroud. Welcome.
Hero Shots talking about roto lights. I never was interested in roto lights because, the constant LED light plus the strobes with zero refresh time. I never tried them. They were rather expensive, I guess, when they first came out. But, I mean, they've definitely sold, no doubt about that. Yeah. Sculpting features using the strip box. Yep. And that's what you were talking about too, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. The shots he took were phenomenal.
Yeah, and there you go. We're talking about that. I'm way behind. Should be a little farther in the comments. But Albert talking about the wireless flash system rules because I don't miss walking around with duct tape, taping wires to the floor, especially on a rainy day. I hear you. Albert. Yeah, just getting rid of the mess of cords and extension cords and things like that. That's the way to go.
Hey, I got a question for you, Chuck, because I don't know. Some of I think it's Sony and maybe even Canon now. They have that where the hot shoe is a multifunction shoe, probably for supplying power to your microphone. If you put it on the camera, that's what I'm assuming it's for. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a danger with that if it rains because you actually have power on the shoe? You got to cover it up. If you don't have something on it, you have to cover it up.
I don't know, and I think it's obviously the microphone, their proprietary microphone that Sony mic will run through the hot shoe. I don't know what all Canon offers in that. I think it's kind of a cool idea, depending on what they expect to, develop in the future that would work through the hot shoe. I don't know enough about either to speak intelligently. That goes for a lot of stuff.
We're getting some comments about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, power to the mics, and yes, keep that cover on it.
Okay, so I had to believe that it's not so detrimental, but I can't see a camera manufacturer doing that when it's too susceptible to problems, but who knows? It's kind of like the diffraction thing. Everybody's been on the diffraction thing for so long, talking about, I don't want a higher megapixel because of diffraction. Mozman was nice enough to send me an article on diffraction. It was really interesting. I just glossed through the majority of it, and I don't think it's as critical as some people are making it out to be. But I really want to go back to, would a camera maker even consider any higher megapixel if diffraction was going to take away from the photos that you're taking? That wouldn't be too smart. So I don't know everything there is to know about diffraction, but it's one of those things. If a camera manufacturer puts it in a camera or on a camera body, I got to believe they have a pretty good idea of what they're doing. So going back to the hot shoe, it may be susceptible to, crossing wires or something. I don't know how to shorting out or something like that. But I have to believe that they've done their testing to make sure that it's not something too simple to happen. So I don't know. Of course, we're all leery when we see something like that. But, I guess it's time for us to start believing that the manufacturer at least got this right.
Yeah, Roy's saying the hot shoe on his A7 was the first thing that broke down for him.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's a pin on there that's always hot. I guess it's like Jeff and Leslie says, if it's something that only provides power once you slide the device on it, then that would be obviously a much smarter thing to do. But I'm not really sure how they do it. I guess that's why I'm asking, because I'm not educated on that.
But let's face it, who wasn't concerned with their hot shoe being uncovered, because of crossing a pin or something like that? even before this new technology with having a more capable hot shoe, I was afraid, if I cross the pin, stick my finger on there, is it going to do something to the camera or something like that? And oh, by the way, I always buy those, the rubber, the hot shoe covers from Nikon. I don't know. I guess Canon, Sony, everybody else has the same thing. Instead of just the little plastic push-in hot shoe cover, I like that the one that was provided with the old flagship cameras, way back when, the little rubber boot cover that goes over and actually sheds water away from the hot shoe. So I don't know if anybody else does that.
That got me mad with the Z9. The Z9 came with the cheap plastic slide-in piece, but the D850 had a slide-in piece that was like, I don't know, partially egg-shaped, I guess, that slid right over and went around the edges and everything. And it's like, why did you cheapen the hot shoe cover, for crying out loud? You couldn't even give us a good hot shoe cover.
So I guess that goes back to what I was saying. I think manufacturers must know what they're talking about, because pushing that little plastic hot shoe cover into the clip, really, I didn't see how that prevented water from touching any of the pins or anything. Maybe it does, but I didn't trust it, so I bought the others. So maybe it's not a big deal. Another one of those things that we worry about too much. I don't know. So, and it's going to the diffraction, I guess, comment. I've seen really fantastic photographers shooting landscape on a 61 megapixel Sony, shooting at f/16, f/22 with fantastic results. I agree, Joe, and I've seen that as well. That's why people got mad at me, because I started, saying, well, tell me about this diffraction. How is it going to cripple a camera? How is that a detriment on a higher megapixel camera? I just have to believe that the manufacturers understand, and they're not as concerned with it as I think a lot of these people are closet engineers. They know better than the engineers at these camera companies. By far, they know better, and they can design things better. I think they just want their 15 minutes of fame, and they get on and start talking about it. This goes back to something that, oh shoot, I can't remember. He was talking about it a few minutes ago. I think he's already left the chat. But, people have to be careful what they say. They get on, some rumor mill, or on some forum, or on a live stream, or in a video, and make those comments. And it makes everybody, wonder, oh, is this terrible? And people are so susceptible today to just going by what one person says, and there it is. It's now gospel because he said it. And we don't want
Richie brought it up. Richie actually brought it up.
Yeah.
About 61 megapixel sensors. I mean, I think if you start getting really stupid and you say, oh, let's put out an 80 megapixel sensor. I mean, at some point, you got to go medium format. You have limits with the 35 millimeter equivalent sensor size. At some point, get a medium format camera.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree. And while I'm not a proponent for another higher megapixel camera than even the 45 megapixel, which has served me well and so many others, I'm not going to say Nikon shouldn't build a 80 megapixel sensor or camera, because there are people that want it. And why shouldn't they get what they want? And again, if Nikon were to do it, or Canon, or Sony, or whoever, I think they know what they're doing. I don't think they're going to put out a camera that all the photos are going to be terrible just because you're shooting at f/16 and above. So I think glass has something to do with today, helping with eliminating or curbing diffraction. Based on the article I saw, Nikon's flange distance seems to be something that may help extremely when it comes to diffraction. And oh, by the way, the summation of the article basically said, up to f/22, it's not a major issue. Wasn't that funny? Most of your primes only go to f/22. So anyway, I just wish people, instead of preaching old information or trying to scare people or just to be a bully in a room or a chat room or something like that. Well, we don't need it, because diffraction is going to kill your images. If you're going to state that, make sure you can back it up. And again, I offered a person that did that when I talked about it here on the stream a little while back, talking about higher megapixel in the new Nikon cameras. Why would you talk about it? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm done. I'm not going to sub. I'm not going to like, I'm not going to come back again. And I just replied to it. If you've got an explanation for diffraction that makes sense, and you can actually explain it to people, why don't you come on the show and explain it? I'm open to that. I don't know anything about it, so help me out here. Don't just say, it won't work. And anyway, because a lot of people are waiting for that 80 megapixel sensor. And oh, by the way, here you go. I throw out my rumor, and I base it on my own thoughts and common sense, and which I may not have a lot of. I expect maybe the Z7 might be an 80 megapixel sensor. We shall see. We shall see. And everybody in the chat that over on Nikon Rumors that is complaining, well, if the Z8 isn't 80 megapixels, I don't want it. And, Nikon needs to give us, what we want and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. They're speaking as if, because the Z8 might not be 80 megapixel or 60, why would you want a 61 megapixel sensor to begin with? That's old school now, isn't it? I mean, that's old school. Nikon has to build something and drop cameras that will last and continue to provide for the next 2 to 3 years at a minimum, because you're not going to get an upgrade. You're going to get firmware updates maybe, but you're not going to get an upgrade in hardware. So why would Nikon drop something old and hope that, well, we'll survive the onslaught when the R5 II comes out, when the R1 comes out, when Sony drops a new pro body or even a new flagship? You got to expect those things are going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. Why would Nikon stay behind the curve? Come on, folks. I mean, Canon won't, Sony won't, Fuji won't, nobody will. So whatever comes out now is going to be dynamite. Trust me. It won't be for, 5 years from now, but at least it will exceed what you see out there right now for a temporary term. And then we go into the leapfrogging with other camera manufacturers. All right. So I got off subject there. I just had to throw that in there. But Nikon's going to build a higher megapixel camera. You can bet on it. It's coming. And I believe it will be the Z7 III. All right. Enough of that. Rumors. I can't speak. I can't talk about rumors. I get in trouble for doing that.
I'm going to I smile a little bit. And don't take this the wrong way, Daryl. I smile when I see your comment, because it is so true. Larger prints aren't usually seen up close, so they don't need to be tack sharp. Billboards are horrible up close, but far away they look fine. Absolutely 110% true. But the sad thing is, it's just like people who pixel peep and look at images on the screen and go and they magnify it 200% or more and say, see, look how bad it is in the corner. Look how blurry it is. And they're at 200%, 400%. And it's the same people that'll look at that 20 by 30 print you got hanging on your wall and go up to it with a magnifying glass and say, well, gee, I don't like the quality when I look at it with my magnifying glass. There's always got to be somebody that has to do that. I mean, just to rile up everybody else. It's just crazy.
No, you're right. And you can get me on a rant here real quick, Jeffrey, with that comment, because you're absolutely right. And that's one of the things I wish people would quit doing, is shooting photos for photographers. Are photographers your clients? Are photographers your audience? They shouldn't be. If you want a critique about your photo, I think that's fantastic. I think that's great. Joey, welcome, buddy. Hang on just a second. I think that's fantastic. But if you're shooting for clients and they're happy, guess what? You're doing what you need to do. Quit worrying about what photographers think of your work. If you're asking them for help, that's different. but don't worry about what they may say, because they're going to pixel peep and they're going to find these little oddities or whatever. Just shoot, have fun, please the people you're shooting for and yourself. And don't worry about Chuck sitting up here at 400% saying, well, I can see a little diffraction there and a little chromatic aberration. Wait a minute, let me zoom to 800%. Yep, there it is. There's chromatic aberration. Sure enough. Who cares? All right. Sorry, I just had to go off on my rant on that. Shoot, have fun. If everybody likes what you're doing it right. It's that simple. All right. Joey, go ahead, buddy. What are you doing?
Oh, good morning, guys. Just I'd come in and say hi. Sorry for the delay. I was in an all hands meeting and ran a little overtime, but thought I'd join you guys and see how it's going on this ever so fine Wednesday.
Wednesday used to be Prince Spaghetti Day, if you remember those commercials.
I don't remember those commercials, but those sound lovely.
Oh, to be young
also,
again,
guys,
to be young again.
Hey, Daryl. Yeah, I know they have, but again, nobody's given a real explanation of it. And I'm one of those people, the old Missouri folk, show me. And nobody can show me any photos. They talk about it, but nobody says, okay, here it is. Here's the proof. Here's the diffraction that I'm talking about. Do that, and I'm okay with it. But I don't understand why everybody gets wrapped around the axle when there really is no definitive proof out there. And if there is, and you guys have seen it and can talk about it, please send it to me. Again, Mozman sent me an article about it, and I became even less interested in it because it really didn't prove that, oh, by the way, 61 megapixels and up is going to be terrible for diffraction. Anyway, I think it has a lot to do with the glass too, because it's all about wavelength, how light strikes the sensor. And if you want to go read that article, it's pretty good. I'll try to remember to put it in the description. And again, back to here it is at f22, and really there's no noticeable at 1000%. We can see where diffraction has crept in. I'm not looking at a photo like that. And I challenge you all to get away from that as well, 500%. But anyway,
well, and the other thing is too, if you're, when and if you do prints, a lot of so-called quote unquote defects disappear. Because of just the printing technology and how, all the little dots of ink kind of blend together and everything. A lot of those quote unquote horrible things that you see at 200 and 400%, you don't see when you print it out.
Yeah. And
but a lot of people don't print.
Yes, somebody did talk about that. You're absolutely right. And, again, I'm not trying to defeat the diffraction, theory or whatever, but, and who was it? Joe, or let's see, Roy.
Well,
Roy's talking about it.
But it's don't make it out like it's something that everybody's going to see every time they take a picture. It's not the way it is.
Yeah, so I'm okay with not zooming in on a photo if because I'm confident that anybody I share a photo with isn't going to zoom in unless they're a photographer and want to explain to me how bad it is. Which, okay, that's great. Thanks very much. But everybody else liked it. I go back to, I asked a person, they're talking about, well, this is wrong. That's bad. This is whatever. Do you like the photo? Oh yeah, I like the photo. That's enough. You could have stopped right there. We'd have been fine. But anyway, all right.
Pixel peeping. Man, that's a fun topic.
Oh yeah. That could last for a day. That could last for a day.
Oh, easily. I don't know. People get so heated on that. And I mean, yeah, unless you're zooming in and you have the original file, are you going to even notice that, right? Like for myself, most of the photos I take live on Instagram, which down reses everything anyways. So I don't know. I get the super technical side, but at the same time, you have to think about how people are consuming this media. And on the most part, it's going to be through social, which you're not going to be able to really get those details anyways.
When I'm editing my photos and I'm being critical of my own work, I'll look at it at 100%. I don't go more than 100%. There's no reason
I
to
mean,
go
I don't
more
want to
than
know what's in there.
you know, I go 100% because I'm making prints. Anything I print out, anything that you have to see it, you don't see it till you're 200%. You're not going to see it on my print, so I don't worry about it.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, and we get wrapped up in too about everything's for professional use. You know, everybody speaks about photos as if it's going to a gallery or know, or it's going to be used in an advertisement. And I know that people are out there shooting photos for that. I get that, but the general populace isn't necessarily. And I also understand everybody wants their photo to be perfect. There is this point of perfection that everybody strives to reach. Well, that doesn't really exist, by the way. It's the enemy of completion, by the way. So if you're shooting for fun, for social media, do you really need to be that concerned about? I mean, look again, what we've used in the past. But it's a photographer's argument, I think. Am I wrong?
Well, it's you almost get to where everybody's being a scientist or an engineer. Yeah. You're breaking everything down to a point where to just point out differences and be able to pick a side, one or the other. And it's like in the real world, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Hey Chuck, I'm pixel peeping right now.
There you go,
buddy. One of me on the screen is scary enough, Joe. But when you put that many of you on the screen, I think all of a sudden I have the eyes of a fly or something, and I'm seeing.
I was going to say, is that the new spider eye lens that you're using?
No, it's I'm trying out OBS today. I was doing that podcast yesterday with Vahagan, so I wanted to improve the audio and play with it a bit. So I downloaded this plugin, so it's like a virtual camera, so I can add images in the background, do whatever I want. And it's does the mic sound okay compared to usual? Is it better? Or?
Yeah, it sounds good, man.
All right.
You sound professional.
Professional, yeah. Watch out. You're gonna get labeled professional.
First.
Roy says higher megapixel sensors show diffraction more than lower res ones. I can't deny that, Roy. I don't know does or doesn't, but I trust that you're right. But how much of an issue is it? I guess is what maybe would be the next question. Not for the commercial photographer or somebody that's shooting ads for or whatever, but just for the general populace. So. And why would a cameraman, this is probably a crazy question because everybody's going to laugh. Well, of course they will to sell a camera. Why would a camera manufacturer do that? and right now we have 61 megapixel that we know of. There is a hint that an 80 megapixel sensor is in the works. I don't know whether it's Sony or whatever. I'll just hang on to that info for now. But why would a camera manufacturer actually produce a camera like that if they know it's going to have major issues? So the key word there, major. If it's something that you got a pixel peep to 100% or 200, 400%, I don't know that the camera maker would be so concerned about it. I'm certainly not, but you may be different.
This is an interesting comment. Lee says, Roy, the likes of the A7R 4 and V and 5 don't begin to show diffraction till beyond f11, which he never shoots at to begin with. Well, the previous comment said, you don't normally see it till you're at f22, which I think is probably more typical. I'd be a little worried if it showed it at f11, because if you're a landscape photographer, which I've done a lot of landscape photography, and you're shooting a scene and you want everything front to back in focus, you're going to be shooting more than f11 quite often. You're going to be shooting f16. You might even shoot f22. That isn't uncommon for a landscape photographer to do that. So if there is a camera out there that has a problem at f11, I which I'm not saying that's true or not, I'd be a little worried about it if I was a landscape photographer.
Yeah. I see tons of landscape photos, especially, from those guys that are shooting the A1 or whatever. And it doesn't seem to be. Now, again, it could be, it's one of those things that's measured in micro or nanometers or something, the difference in quality. But again, back to, I don't shoot for people like that or whatever. So is it enough of an issue that it could really cause problems? That's the question. Don't just tell me it exists. There are a lot of things that exist that I don't care about. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't, whatever.
Yeah,
But
UFOs stuff, for example.
There you go. And this will spin us off in another direction here. But I was watching Lindsay Adler this morning, just for a few minutes, her video that came out talking about AI. It caught my eye because of AI, and it was interesting. There's this big, the big draw to AI for conceptual artists. It's used for that and everything else, but is it going to compete with photography, and how much of a problem is it going to be, and blah, blah, blah. Is it evil or good in the photography world? And she was trying to explain some of that, I think, but she said she just tried it and she used it for her own conceptual photo shoots to look at what she wants to then go photograph by using AI to develop a palette, if you will, kind of a sketch of what she wants to now go photograph. And I guess that could be one way that it's good. But anyway, AI, and Jeff and Leslie bring it up here. Jeff brings it up. Back to what's next. I think next 5 years are going to be the time for AI. Things like diffraction will become more irrelevant with AI technology built in. And I said this a while back. I think that you already see that in the cameras that you're shooting right now, by the way. AI plays a part, obviously. That's how your raw photos have that JPEG look on the LCD screen, because AI is giving you a preview of what it should look like. But is AI going to be able to do like Topaz Labs? And I'm just using that as an example, denoise. And I'm not saying Nikon, go grab Topaz denoise and put it in the camera. But the point here is, our camera manufacturers are going to include that kind of AI in cameras to come, where it eliminates a lot of these flaws before you download the photo, before you even see the photo. And then that brings up a whole argument over, I don't want anything taken away from what I shoot and blah, blah, blah. But get ready for those arguments. Those are coming down the road. That's next.
We're going back to film.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the two areas that I think, I don't know, what in the hell do I know, right? But I mean, the two areas that I think that they should start looking at a little bit more, and some manufacturers are, I think Canon is, especially with dynamic range, is improving dynamic range and improving your bit rate. Okay. You got 12-bit, 14-bit, if you can get to 16-bit and you got better dynamic range, that those are the areas where people will see an effect with their work. And I wish they would focus more on that than the megapixel wars. The megapixel wars are just stupid at this point. I mean,
well, again, it's one of those things though, Jeffrey, as long as they don't take, if they want to add to what we have available for us, I don't care how far they go. Yeah. As long as I get what I want, which brings me to still shooters, and I'm going to do a video about this in Andy Rooney style soon. But so I'm not saying Nikon, Canon, Fuji, Olympus, or OM or whatever. Don't build a higher megapixel camera. I'm not saying that at all. Just give us the others and let people that want those cameras have them. I don't care.
But you have choice. But you have options.
Yeah, right? There you go.
Options.
Exactly. Why is it we want to deny people, though? Don't build a higher megapixel camera. We don't need it. You don't need it. You don't want it, but somebody does. Yeah. So again, I'm all for that. Give me, something that I want. Give us a choice to make out there, and I'm happy with that. So there you go. For those that, with the Z8 that are complaining, well, the rumor is it's going to be the same sensor as the Z9. Nobody was complaining about the Z9 sensor until now. Isn't that amazing? Now we're complaining about it. No, we want something different or whatever. So anyway, if it is 45 megapixel, the same sensor out of the Z9, then guess what? The Z7 is probably going to be the camera that you're looking for. Well, no, I wanted it to be called the Z8. Okay, you can call yours the Z8. Doesn't matter. Just give us those two cameras and we're happy. aren't we? Now we're going to argue over, well, mine isn't the new number. Oh, you just can't beat the photography world on YouTube.
There's a joke in Canada. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No. Go. I'm choking. That's okay. You talk.
Oh, okay. All good. All I was gonna say is there's a joke about Canadian politics. American comes up to go lobster fishing off the east coast of Nova Scotia, and they're fishing away, and he looks at the Canadian bucket, and there's no lid on top. He says, "Oh man, like, why aren't you covering that? Your lobsters are gonna get out." He says, "Oh no, these are Canadian lobsters. Every time one gets higher than the rest, all the other ones pull them down." And really, that's what it comes down to. Like, people will find a problem with anything. You can walk up to someone and say, all right, here is an 80 megapixel camera for $2,000 that shoots 8K 60 N-Log with like no diffraction issues at all. Yeah, well, I want it to be called Doug. Well, you can't name a camera Doug. It's not possible, right? So there's always going to be a problem.
Yeah. Oh, man. I guess that's what keeps us going, though. That's one of the things we can talk about, amongst ourselves in the photography community. Oh man!
Like you said, options. Having the option of an 81 megapixel sensor is not. I don't care. I'm just not going to buy it. But somebody else may want it. But options are good. But I hate it when you take options away. Such as a good example of taking options away from the consumer is look at the automobile industry. How many manual transmission cars can you get nowadays? Everything is those, on the steering wheel, like Formula One cars with the flipping the lever. Paddle shifts. I'm not a paddle shift guy. I don't care if you make a car with a paddle shift, but I want a car that has a 6-speed on the floor. That's what I want.
Yeah.
You took that option away. You didn't give me choices. You're taking choices away. That's where I have a problem.
Maybe that is a fear. Maybe that's a fear that people see once there's a little bit of a change that their way of what they want is going to go away completely. And no doubt over time, I mean, look at how many things at our age, Jeffrey, how many things have changed that we would like to go back to.
Oh, yeah.
But, we got to roll the times and we may not like it, but we get used to it. But as long as there's an option out there for, if you want a 100 megapixel camera, by all means, I hope Canon, Nikon, Sony, Fuji, I hope they all build one. 110 megapixel. It sounds like I'm making fun of those people. I'm not. If that's what you want, though, I hope they build it. I really do. And I think you're going to get your wish here rather soon with cameras that are coming down the road. So again, I go back to if Nikon builds a 61 megapixels, not sensor, but builds a camera with a 61 megapixel sensor. Next year, when Canon drops an 80 megapixel sensor, you're going to be crying. You're going to be screaming. You're going to be irate. So, there's just no way around. We can't please everybody. Now, I've done my share of rants, and everybody's probably look at him, the pot calling the kettle black. My rants have been about the timing and everything with Nikon. It has nothing to do with the quality of the products with Nikon. I am a believer and I love my Nikon stuff. And I'm not saying it's better than yours. My dog doesn't jump any higher than your dog. Okay. I just like my dog. That's all. All right.
Yeah, well, that's the key, right? Like, at the end of the day, love what you have. And it's fun to debate these things, but I think we're kind of in this space now where people just get so heated. And I mean, it comes from passion, right? Which is great, but sometimes people just get so defensive over the gear, whether that's Canon, Nikon, whatever. Shoot with what you enjoy, be proud of it, and create some dope content, whether that's photography, videography, who cares? But just enjoy your stuff and have a fun conversation about it and keep it light, keep it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key. Don't get personal, whatever, because somebody likes something you don't like or whatever. That's just the way it is. And anyway, it's interesting. I still say that universities that have a psychology department need to look at YouTube for case studies for students in psychology and psychiatry. I think that you get enough case studies in YouTube that you could, and that's real world too. I mean, it's real world study. And I'm probably part of the problem here too, I guess. I don't know. Lee Rothman, I saw your other comments, Lee. Good to see you in here, buddy. Ken is already working on built-in corrections for all the issues regarding lens weakness to be built into their bodies for future. Yeah, well, I think everybody's doing that. I don't think it's just Canon. I think everybody's doing that. And again, you're going to get a more AI camera than you think here, not too distant future, because that is the way to go.
Buy the Google Pixel phone and you can erase your best friend in the picture with the flick of your finger.
Yeah. And Albert says, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Diffraction is a problem for just 2% of the photographers. Yeah. Well, 2% that it's meaningful discussion, but it's still a problem for about 40% of the photographers that think it's an issue, have never noticed it before, but now all of a sudden it could be. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see. And again, we're gonna get what we get, folks. It doesn't matter. Whatever they build, that's what we get. So, you know, if there's an issue with any one camera, you know, a too high megapixel, then you don't buy it. It's that simple. You buy another model within that brand, or go to another brand, or whatever. Well,
you know, it's funny. I mean, I worked electronics my whole life. And the rule of thumb was the 80-20 rule. If you made 80% of the people happy,
yeah,
you were doing great. In the photography world, it seems like you got to make 99.999% of them happy, because that 0.001% is going to be very, very vocal.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe says, I just sent you an image shot with a 14-24 shot at f/14. It's so sharp it'll cut you. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I'll have to check it out, Joe, whenever the stream's over here, but I'll definitely check it out. And again, there may be, again, if you go in and you really start diving into a photo and zooming into, there may be perceptible differences at, on the 61 megapixel sensor at f/22. There may be perceptible differences at 800% or 400% zoom, but it's not going to affect 99% of the people that are using that camera and that lens or whatever. I don't know if it's a lot about nothing or what, but considering that Ricky, somebody brought up Rishi, I asked him one time, how do I say it? And he said, call me Dave. Okay, Dave. Because I didn't know how to pronounce it. I've heard it so many different ways. But anyway, Rishi brought it up, and it might not have been the best thing for him to do. I don't know. Because a lot of people will see that as, well, Nikon already understands diffraction's evil, and we're not going to produce a camera any higher than blank megapixel. I don't think Nikon's thinking that way or saying that, but you would think that coming from Rishi, though, it's going to be a big deal. Now it is, because other people are parroting. And again, a lot of people are just saying, well, diffraction is going to be an issue. Do you know what diffraction is? Well, yeah, I don't either. So I'm not going to go around telling people it's going to be an issue. But if you can explain it, come on the show, talk about it, show us examples, make us believers, because we need to know. All right.
Roy hits the nail. Roy hits the nail on the head here. Photography these days has become more about technical perfection and taking an image or capturing the moment. Yes, isn't that what photography is supposed to be all about? Is capturing that moment. Your kid's first soccer game, your young. Your daughter grows up and you got those great wedding pictures and I mean that's what photography is all about. I mean not this other stuff that we're talking about.
That photo you have of your mother out on a camping trip or on Christmas or whatever, that's all bleached out and everything else, or she's right dead center of the photo you took or whatever. Nobody's looking at it for its technical merits. They're looking at it because that's their mother. I have an image of my mother, this photo, and there's a story that goes behind it for them. And not every image you take is that way, of course, but nobody's saying, well, it's nice you got a photo of your mother, but it's terrible.
No. Most people are saying, gee, when your kids start growing up, they say, do you have any pictures of your parents? Do you have any pictures of your grandparents?
Yeah.
And they're thrilled just to see that, oh, gee, she kind of looks like me, or he kind of looks like me, or whatever. And they're not sitting there criticizing all the technical stuff. They're thrilled to just see the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's another comment, because people have been talking about this for years, and I never could see the difference. Everybody said, well, Nikon's has better dynamic range than Canon. And I'm looking at photos thinking, I can't see it. I'm sorry. Maybe I should zoom in or something. I don't know. But anyway, I know it's been it's a lot to talk about. But have we hit the physical limits on dynamic range in a sensor? I think that AI will play a role in this as well, folks. Again, I think AI is going to work around physical limitations that we have in glass and everything else. We're already seeing that with glass. A lens element has to be this big if it's going to be 0.95 at 100 millimeter or whatever. And we're finding ways to work around the physics. And a lot of those ways are going to be via AI, I think, here in the near future. So I don't know how it'll do it. It's the secret sauce, the strong kung fu that, a manufacturer finds, that they can work around some of these physical limitations. But it's coming, no doubt about it. And everybody like Lee Rothman, he says, I can't wait till they nail down 20 stops of dynamic range like our eyes see. Yeah, wouldn't that be fantastic?
Our eyes are the best cameras to have the most.
Or we're going to have plugs on the side of our heads that we take the pictures with our eyes.
Google Glass is coming back.
Yeah.
There you go. BFS says soon a lot of companies will use. Joe, you got to take off, man.
Yeah, sorry, I'm actually going out this afternoon to grab some coffee and to shoot a vlog, so I gotta jump.
Okay, buddy. All right. Well, thanks for dropping in. It's always fun to see you, man.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great day, and make sure you check out Vahography on Thursday to check out our new podcast.
Yeah, definitely. And jump over to Joe Man's Land, Joey's channel, and give him a like and a sub. All right, Joey, take care, man. Have fun.
Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Yeah, you too. Bye.
Right. BFS says a lot of companies will use the term AI loosely for everything similar to stereo, video, cassette back then. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know what I'm worried about is AI when it comes to AI robotics. And even Elon Musk is a little concerned about how developed this is becoming. So it's going to be like the movie. What was the movie with, who was it? The robots take over? Will Smith. Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, everybody's arguing about AI all the time right now as it is, because some say, well, what do you mean by deep learning? Is the camera actually learning as you're taking the picture?
Yeah.
And, or is it, which I don't know. It could be full of, what? I don't believe that's true. I think what they're doing is the camera isn't self-aware. The programmers, the people that do the firmware are putting in, updating algorithms all the time to make it so that the cameras work better, but that's like baked in, with the firmware, not that the camera itself has its own sentient being and is sitting there evaluating and making decisions on its own. I mean, well, when we get to that point, I'm going to be looking for Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator knocking on my front door.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real concern with AI when we're talking about AI, not in the photo world, of course, but yes. It's funny how many movies, science fiction movies over the years, even going back into silent films, have actually come true.
Yeah.
We actually did land on the moon or go to the moon, and we've landed a a ship on Mars. So, yep. That's why it scares me anymore to see any of these sci-fi movies. It's like, man, don't laugh. That's a
It turns
possibility.
into science fact, man.
Yeah.
Just like
Exactly.
2001: A Space Odyssey. You got space stations up there now, baby.
Yeah. Oh, Phil says 81 megapixel would be insane. Yeah, but don't count it out. That's a possibility here down the road. Let's see. Man, a lot of comments. I'm trying to keep up. I'm always so far behind. I don't know why you guys even hang around. You're probably like, man, I don't know why I put a comment up here. He's going to be stuck up there in the middle of the pack somewhere. I'm glad to see you in here, Lee. Lee calls me from time to time. Lee likes to rant too. I like it.
That's all right. I don't mind Lee's rants. Lee's rants are good.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with Joe Stroud, although I'm not going to read it because I don't want to. I agree with him that certain people that just kind of say, oh, if it's not 50 plus megapixels, it's not a real camera or not a professional camera. It's like,
Yeah.
Look, okay. So you just insulted every Sports Illustrated photographer that put phenomenal sports images in their magazine for decades using, the D3, the D4, the D5, 24 megapixel cameras or less, and you just ran them over with the bus. When you talk like that, I mean, that's just, the evidence is out there in print, that people have been looking at and reading for years. So it's like, get off the 50 plus megapixel or nothing pitch, because that's just such it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, man. Here's a suggestion. I ought to take my own advice. Of course I won't. Why should you then, right? You get a new camera, don't go on YouTube and search for videos on your new camera. Form an opinion yourself. And then when you watch the videos, you can say, well, that's crap. That's not right. That's not true. Or, yeah, that's absolutely true, or whatever. But I think we get swayed sometimes by watching all the videos about, I just got this lens and now I go watch all the videos. And, somebody's saying, well, it's terrible. It's this, it's that, or whatever. I haven't experienced any of that. But now you're
somebody buys the camera and watches the videos afterwards, and they say, I didn't realize I bought a piece of junk. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I thought I was taking good pictures.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man.
The chat worked up, Chuck. We started off slow, but then things got pretty good.
Yeah.
as usual.
Yeah, well, that's just it. When we go down and we let the chat chime in and start with all the, the comments and actually head down that road, it always works out best. I really like it. And you guys weigh in. Give me a comment here right now in the chat. I like having, again, I've said this to a few other people that talk about, well, you should just go on the show yourself and blah, blah, blah. I like having folks in here in the panel. And if we have 4 or 5 people, I think it makes it more dynamic. And the other thing is that everybody keeps looking at the chat. We don't miss as many comments that way because it's hard for me to keep up with the, chat going on in the, up here in the panel. But tell me what you think. Do you like more or less people in the panel? And if you like more, well, my next comment is going to be join us.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I finally got to the bottom here.
And if you don't agree with what they say, then hey, come on and explain your reasons for disagreeing with us. If you think sometimes you think I'm full of baloney or I don't know anything, then come on and share your knowledge with the rest of us, because I'll take any knowledge I can get and steal it from anybody else. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Lee, I'm trying to
Like,
follow your comment here on most current AI and cameras is the capacity to learn as one goes. I'm trying to figure that out. Not guess in advance. It is only applied as one is shooting, not guessing in advance. Okay, so you say AI in that case is seeing a familiar scene and then it thinks, okay, here's what I need to do to, I don't know.
yeah, you're losing me there. I think it may see things and make certain it makes a decision, but the decision is based on what's already been programmed into the camera. I don't think
Right.
it's actually, it's not reprogramming itself
Yeah.
as it goes
I think
along.
I think you're actually saying that somewhat as well, Lee. I'm kind of lost
Yeah.
in that. But the one thing that we had talked about before, and some people want to argue and say, no, it's deep learning, meaning it's learning as you go. Explain that. You mean it learns new things, or it just learns your pattern? I could understand that. Okay, it learns your pattern, so it sees similar scenes over and over and over, and it knows, okay, this is what I did last time, here's what I'll do it again on this scene. The camera saying that, but it learning as you go, meaning, hey, I just learned what dog eyes look like, or the camera saying that, because you're shooting cows now, I understand what cow eyes look like, and now I can have a cow eye setting or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's not thinking on its own. And Lord knows we don't want that for certain.
No.
I think that's what Elon Musk was talking about. That is something that may be, out there becoming closer to reality than we think. I don't want it. I don't want robots running around my house. All right. All right, folks. Well, we got quite a few people still in here. Wow, 60 people watching. And for those of you watching, thank you very much. And a lot of people do like to watch the live stream here. Actually, they like to listen. They just put it on in the background and listen to the buffoonery going on. And that's what we're about, buffoonery. That's the fun part of this channel. And we can talk about some buffoonery, that's for sure. Man, oh man. Again, going back to the grits conversation, I'm not going to get into all that right now. Get into the Bigfoot conversation. You had to be here. It was a lot of fun, I'll tell you, especially because we learned that Bigfoot is a blurry creature. It's not the camera that's causing the blur, and so many other things. That's
we're
why
not going to talk about soap anymore either, Chuck. We're not talking about soap anymore.
Yep.
Your views went down when we started talking about soap.
Yeah. People can't appreciate a good, clean discussion.
Clean joke,
No pun intended. Again, that's the thing about this channel. If you come in here for an explicit educational series on with slides, you kind of missed the mark, because that's not what we do here. We pontificate, we spread rumors and talk what we want to talk about. When I say we, I mean you all. And that's what it's all about. Just a big photography forum to get in here. And I keep saying, get your voice heard, but because I am so slow at addressing the comments, I have to skip over so many. So when I do that, folks, by all means, repeat your comment and make sure you do get heard. But I appreciate everybody in here with all their comments. It's always fun. And again, let me know in the chat if, you agree. More people on the panel makes it more exciting, or not. So still trying to get cheers set up here. The live stream where everybody knows your name. That's it. That's the theme here. All right.
All I know is when you have a lot of people and we're all little squares, I definitely feel like I'm on the Hollywood squares when we have all those little squares.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know why all of a sudden my chat has froze on the stream here, but I'm looking.
I was just gonna say the same thing. The last thing I see is Joe Stroud's comment. Nobody knows Jeffrey. It's just marketing mumbo jumbo. That's been froze there for quite a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm looking over here at the other screen. So I have the stream playing on YouTube on another computer. There's been quite a few comments yet on AI. And Z Wade makes a comment saying, where you at, Z? He says, that's what I'm doing, Chuck, working and listening to the buffoonery. All right. Oh, man. All right. So I see the chat going on, guys, over on the other computer. I don't know why it stopped here. Let me go over here and look at something real quick. Of course, that doesn't tell me anything. Thank you, Restream. Yeah, I don't know, Jeffrey. I don't know.
Can't see what they're talking about. I can't throw in my silly opinions.
Exactly. Huh.
Yeah, and I was thinking back earlier. I used to do teaching. I used to teach certain things in industry, based on my trade. And I used to always tell people in the class, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question. You have a question, you ask it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had no shame admitting I wasn't 100% sure about that multi-function hot shoe stuff. I made an assumption that it was for your microphone, which I guess it is, but hey, I don't have any problem saying I don't know about that.
Well, this is new. This is a new issue I've encountered with Restream, and I'll have to send this query to them as well. Let's see. Nancy says, I'm working and listening. Hate that I missed last Saturday. Yeah, Nancy, we missed you. Albert says, please don't forget to hit the like button. You know what? I got to do the shirt because my beautiful bride got me this for Christmas. And it serves two purposes. One, it makes her happy that I'm happy that she got it. And the other is, of course, here we go. Most importantly, though, I appreciate the likes. I really do, folks. All right. I don't know why, Jeffrey. I cannot get the chat. I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea.
Yeah, I could always go in the other room and get my laptop and log in on that, and so I could see it. Because right now I'm kind of stuck in the mud.
We're so close to the end of the stream anyway, Jeffrey. I'm just going to lean over here and aggravate everybody by doing this to read the comments. Let's see. Nancy says she loves how I refer to my wife. Yeah, that's my beautiful bride of 18 going on 19 years now. So, and she is still my bride because she puts up with me. I mean, can you imagine having to put up with me 24/7? Wow. I can't even imagine putting up with me. Roy's talking about back in the 1980s, he wrote a file structure for AI based on neural networks. Okay. Lee says 29 more subscribers and you can monetize Chuck. Yep. Yeah, we're really close now, and that's all because of Vahagen, and he did that early on, and of course he just did it again. But Simon also putting up a community post, and a lot of his subscribers have responded, and I appreciate that. I hope that they're not all going to say, "Why did I do that?" Now that I've come over here to watch his stream, hope that's not the case. Lee Rothman, my bride has been with me for 42 years come August. Congratulations, Lee. That's fantastic, man. And how did she put up with you that long? Oh man. Nancy Jane, she said, I married a nuclear engineer. I could put up with anyone. Oh man. Oh. All right, folks. I don't understand why my chat stopped over here. But again, this is like I said earlier when I think it was QSR asked about streaming platform. I think it was him, and I said Restream IO. Maybe it wasn't him. It was somebody else. But anyway, Restream IO is what I'm using. I have the paid subscription to that so that I can at least stream in HD, which there is a free version of this. It limits, of course, what you can do and how many guests you can have. And it's in 720 output, 720p only. But I am going to look at StreamYard because a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about StreamYard. One of the things I posted the question to Restream and they have never answered me. Well, they haven't answered me on any of them, actually. So that's a bit annoying. But I can't see the chat until I go live over here on the Restream page when I'm streaming. And that aggravates me. Oh, let's see. Oops. Seems like one of your streams is having connection issues. Okay. Well, I don't know what other stream I have.
Yeah, your video is you're kind of frozen a little bit. You freeze intermittently right now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Probably at a point to call it a day, I think, with all these technical problems.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well, because I don't want to get froze again. And for those of you that missed that show, I lost Spectrum, my internet provider. Still don't know exactly what happened. Assume a telephone pole went down or something. But anyway, it blocked it out of course, I had no stream. I was trying to restore the connection here again. So it's Restream. You better find something. But anyway, I couldn't connect to end the show. And poor Jeffrey and Roy were still in here and they had no idea. So I got on my phone because, well, I don't know. I don't know how I could still use use my phone. But anyway, I got on the phone and had to tell them that I was having these connection issues and couldn't shut the stream down. So then I had to use my phone as a hotspot. And I know you all don't care about all this, but had to use the phone as a hotspot, connect temporarily, terrible connection. And then, wow. I'm looking at the other screen now.
Is like frozen now.
All right, folks. Hey, thanks for everybody coming aboard today. I hope we continue to grow the community. I hope you guys enjoyed the chat. Obviously, the topic is yours. I keep saying that, but I just run out of topics. And people get tired of hearing me rant about gear. I don't want to do that. But thanks for everybody that's in here. Glad to see you again, Lee. Good to see you. Ray Powell, I always enjoy seeing your name flash. Joe Stroud, Manila Martin, BFS, Lee, I already talked about Lee and Roy. Man, there's just so many of you. I can't go through here. David Stewart, Nancy, Anita, when she's here. I don't see her today. Or I think I did see her early on. But anyway, all you folks, you're all fantastic. I really appreciate the civility in the chat room. That's what makes it a lot more fun. And hope you go out and drag some friends in to have fun with us. You know, the live stream where everybody knows your name except for me because I can't remember what I had for breakfast. All right. So I'm going to cut it off. Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining today. Always fun to have you in here. And I noticed somebody had mentioned that earlier. Good to see you back. And of course, Jeffrey, when you're not busy, anytime you want to join, you can.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to get on every Saturday. And I think Wednesdays are going to be on and off, but Saturdays should be good. So I think that's how I'll leave it if you're okay with that right now.
Yeah, of course I am. Shoot, man, I appreciate that. Again, I don't want to be a burden on your life, and I know you want to go out and shoot and all that stuff. So whenever you can, you want to be on, just let me know, and you're in. I'll just send you the link, and you can decide. You don't even have to say I won't make it. That's okay. All right, folks. Again, let me get out of here before this thing freezes again. And because I just got another notification. I don't know if it's maybe Wi-Fi is causing this. Yeah, I see my little, Okay. All right. Well, let me get out of here before I freeze again. Stream running until the next live stream. All right, folks. I hope everybody I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you, Simon, for jumping in here with us earlier, too. Again, folks, invitation is out there for everybody. It's not just for select individuals. If you'd like to come and chat and talk to people, by all means, just send me an email, and all that information is in the description. Remember, April 1st is our next photo review. Our photo review is just that. We just pull up the photos and enjoy what you're working on. I did add a little spice to it this time. I hope people will try it. Is do something very creative, out of the norm, creative, not adhering to rules or anything else. Do something that you've wanted to do and share it with us. You might find that you've developed another technique within a genre, and wouldn't that be cool? All right. That said, again, have a wonderful week. I'll see everybody Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time here in the good old USA. And stay safe and stay out of the weather, because I know the weather's bad all over the world right now, it seems like. Jeffrey, take care, buddy, and hope to see you again Saturday night.
Yeah, I will. I'll see you then. Take care, everybody.